I now generally leave my wallet in the car. But then when you're popping out on your motorbike, you think, "Oh, hang on a minute, I'm going to get the wallet out of the car."
I've
Doesn't
done
matter
that
what
when
you do, something.
I do
I
that
now
nearly all the time when I'm in the swap the wagon over to the
I now
States.
generally leave my wallet in the car. I now generally when you're popping out on your motorbike, you think, "Oh, hang on a minute, I'm going to get the wallet out of the car." Oh, they did, but it's only because, like, as I'm talking to them, money's still disappearing out of my account. In theory.
My typing is over, thank goodness.
Oh, we can start the stream now. Thank you.
Hey.
I thought we were already streaming.
No, we're waiting
No.
for you to stop typing.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Have a look at you, mate.
Well, looks like PhD Tony's going to be going for a while.
Oh, if you let him, yeah.
Switch him on and he keeps on going.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
there he-
probably
there he is
cell
there.
batteries. They take a while to
the
run out.
Finniscandian
There we go.
nightshade.
I'll put him over.
But it's also, it's also got these
What's what they're
deposits on
talking
it,
about?
from the Snowball Earth, from the Cryogenian age. And there was also, the other thing that I wanted to discuss was cosmogenic exposure age dating. So,
Oh, that sounds
Yeah, I have a
painful.
question about that, so keep going.
Yeah.
so here's an example where you've got a very energetic proton. It hits an oxygen 16 atom, produces helium 4, helium 3, and beryllium 10.
Would an energetic proton be a hyperproton?
That works. Yeah, I'll go with that.
That works.
21 both don't undergo any radioactive decay whatsoever. But there are a bunch of others that do. Beryllium 10, carbon 14, 20. In fact, this is where carbon 14, this is how carbon 14 is created, is from the impact of cosmic rays on nitrogen, I think. 26 aluminium, 36 chlorine, and 39 argon. And you'll find that these, if a rock formation is exposed
Who's in the
to
chat?
cosmic rays for some
Oh,
time,
Carl's over there.
then concentrations of these various isotopes will accumulate
Oh, Blue's
in
over there.
the outermost layers.
I'll say had, should say had
But
a
if
blue
there's
over
any
there.
erosion, then removing those outermost layers, then it'll go back to sort of showing a cosmogenic exposure age of 0, because there's no evidence there. So, we can use this to test the various hypotheses. So, if this is our starting point for the Grand Canyon, that top thing is where the erosion all happens
Oh,
at
we're going to have
once.
to rewatch that later.
should
This
have-
one.
Pretty much identical cosmogenic exposure ages from the top to the bottom. Whereas if it occurs slowly, you should have older cosmogenic.
I'll just turn that off for now.
What's that you say, Squeak? He's boring. Yeah.
What?
Oh,
Yeah, he can be a bit long-winded.
huh. Where is their audio coming from? I can't even hear you guys.
Me?
Who?
Oh gosh.
Oh, dear.
Am I still audible?
Yes,
Yeah,
you are.
Yeah, you are.
We can hear Blue because we just heard Blue.
We
ask
just
us.
heard Blue.
Good.
I think Blue's got a wire disconnected.
Oh dear.
Hey, Squeak.
Say hello to the nice people that you can't hear.
Yeah. Oh, we got another Alan.
Alan Squared.
Yeah.
There she is.
Hello, Alan's trying to get something going here.
Well, I'm back, but it looks like I'm stuck on the phone because crappy Amazon Basics USB 3 leak, the USB 3 thingy doesn't want to stay permanently connected to the computer, does it?
No.
Like the app on the computer dropped, so yeah. But at least now I can hear you all because I'm back onto device audio and not the bloody telephone speaker that you normally get when you hold it to your head.
Oh yeah.
It sounds like we should have been playing with this before, Alan, to see if you could have got it going.
Well,
Blue's obviously having another go.
I had it going, but yeah, it's probably dropping out if I'm not careful.
Right. Can you hear us, Blue?
Earth calling Blue.
Yeah, I can now.
Come in, Blue.
Okay, I'm in.
Okay.
More calling Orson, coming Orson.
Yeah, more calling Orson.
I'm in.
That's where I was getting it
I'll
from.
show him the age.
Now,
Have we relaxed now? Good.
hopefully,
The cat has
from all the homework I was looking at,
no,
trying to find the right article to use for tonight. And while we're doing that, Gravity's got his clues out for the J something J. Today, scientists laid the foundation for the theory of conservation of energy, which later influenced the first law of thermodynamics. He is...
We don't know.
I've got a Blake look off Farmer.
I'll say you, Squeak. No, she's not helping either. She didn't get a clue.
Squeak didn't know. Oh,
No, Squeak didn't know. Sorry, she's let me down.
You've got to have a good
It's not a
brains
hard
trust.
one
You're going to have to
today.
trade Squeak in.
I can go and ask her sister.
Okay.
She won't be any help either.
Anyone guessing yet, Paul, on the internal chat?
No,
No. Okay.
but it's not a hard one.
Well, is
Yeah,
if you can't
so
remember
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know the answer.
Yeah, that's right.
Who made the engine that
JJ.
powered the Messerschmitt 109? That's easy.
What?
Ju-
Down the beds?
Jewel.
Cat up you.
Is his name got a jewel in it? No.
Cat, will you keep your tail to yourself? For fuck's sake. Get out of it. Come on, bugger off.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the tail to go swipe. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah. And
Stay over there.
Yeah, move it over there, and now it's going to come back again.
I have to rearrange the bloody desk.
Wait a minute, here it
It's gonna
comes.
come back
It comes-
again.
It's coming
going,
again.
it's going.
Ready?
Yep.
Aim.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Bloody cat.
You can predict it, eh?
This is what I have to put up with. Oh, I want to be on your desk. I want to be next to you. Then I want to basically take up all the room. And no, you don't want to use your mouse.
And then you want to move your mouse left or right. You go, cat, I can't get over that side of the screen.
Bloody nuisance. Can't you go? Eh?
Uh,
That's why I need a bigger desk. It's not so I've got more room to work. It's so I've got.
oh,
More
did
room
I
for the
guess
cat.
that right? And I didn't even type it out.
What, Jimmy Jewel?
Yeah, I was thinking of the last name was Jewel, but I couldn't think of the first name.
Jeremy.
Hmm.
Jeremy Jewel.
Johnny Jewel.
Johnny Jewel. Jimbo. Jimbo Jewel.
So, do you know where all our stuff is, Mr. Farmer? It's in the usual
hang on.
spot.
Hang on, let me have a look. Ooh. Ernest? Was he earnest? Or was he very casual about it?
Don't know. And our thumbnail, if anyone noticed. Did anyone notice the thumbnail for the video, for the stream?
I did, yes.
And you know where I got it
noticed
from?
that.
I didn't take the photo myself. I can guarantee.
I'd been impressed if you had. And I would have said, just how cold was it down there?
Very cold, very, very cold.
Yeah, and I found it. What was it? Was it last week or the week before? I think it was the week before.
It's been a couple of weeks now.
I actually found it,
Yeah, but it was a fair way down. I mean, not
Yeah, all the way from
not too far down, but far enough.
Yeah.
all the way to the bottom, I believe.
Yeah, all the way to the bottom. Yeah, exactly.
Funny as you mention that. Yes, that's where shipwrecks usually end up.
On the bottom, yeah. No, I was watching it, the video report of it, which we can't really display because, I've got an ABC one, but I could sort of skim through it, but I'll grab that in a minute when we finish with this. I won't play the whole lot. That way we won't get into trouble.
Yeah. But it's quite a depth, isn't it? I mean, it's a sort of thing you either do remotely or in one of these super duper deep sea diving research subs.
Well, we're getting the technology now, and we get the cameras that have got good 4K and everything.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It looks a lot better. Oop, I've got to change me hearing aid battery things.
You send down a little geek
Yeah.
or big geek.
Because the real problem comes when you talk about shipwrecks is how do you define it if the ship's sitting on the bottom and the decks are still above water? Has it sunk or not?
Oh,
No, that's a float.
now I'm back.
Oh, it's aground. It's run aground. That's called a reef.
I remember that was an argument a certain RAF unit had with the Royal Navy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they claimed the ship has sunk. The Royal Navy says, no, you haven't, because the decks, the weathered decks are still above water.
Okay, that looks too big. I'm going to have to make it
Depends
smaller.
how shallow the water is, I suppose, because I'd say it's just run aground.
Yeah, well, you know, when you blow holes in the bottom of the boat,
That's I didn't know that sandbar was their experience.
in a fjord.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I've got the Facebook, Twitter thing crap along the bottom of it. I can get rid of that.
Mind you, if it's full screen, I'll have to put all mine to the right hand side out of the way.
Yeah, I know. I have to adjust. I don't think it should matter too much.
No. As long as you just sort of keep up with the scrolling down, it shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, it's fitting the width. That's the main thing. I don't like resizing the OBS window all the time because then it mucks me up for other ones. I do have a free scene that I could adjust on the fly, but we can grin and bear that. It took a lot of research to find something that, like, I got bits and pieces from other sources, and by the time I found this one, okay, this seems to have combined a few of the other articles into this one article, so we'll have to use this one then.
Fair enough.
So it does give a few things that we need, so that's the main thing. Seems to have a few different sections. This page is departure. You got trapped and crushed, journey to South Georgia, rescue, timeline and map, crew of endurance. Sir Ernest Shackleton's name will evermore be engraved with letters of fire in the history of Antarctic exploration. Roald Amundsen. We've heard that name before.
He was, of course, the leader of the group that got to the South Pole first, ahead of Scott.
Yeah, after the conquest of the South Pole by Amundsen, who by a narrow margin
stop that right there,
of
Terry,
days only.
Terry, it's Amundsen, not Edmundson.
Oh,
Amundsen.
You're adding an extraneous D.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Amundsen.
No, not Ad.
Amundsen. Anyway, can I get to the point of the sentence and then we can argue about the name after? Jeez.
Bloody Norwegians.
Yeah. At least I wait till you misspell something on your quiz or something and until you finish reading it. Who by a narrow margin of days only was in advance of the British expedition under Scott. There remained but one great main object of Antarctic journeying, the crossing of the South Polar continent from sea to sea. Ernest Shackleton. Now you can correct me words.
Amundsen.
Right.
Amundsen. Say it with me.
Amundsen.
Well done.
Okay.
But you notice how the British name is much easier. Scott. One syllable, can't really get it wrong. Scott.
I can't go wrong with that one.
Even Shackleton's not that hard, is it?
No. Not really. I've been in one.
His last name's a
They've
cross.
got one.
It's like cross between Herman Munster from the Munster amalgamation of the two names. How did they get to the South Pole? Did they climb the ice wall? Good question, Bakes Cakes. Good question. Did they take enough
I strongly
climbing gear?
suspect that if you're going to the South Pole, starting at the Ross Ice Shelf is probably not the best idea.
Mm.
There are easier ways.
Okay.
What you can't see is me fighting with a tail at the moment. Ooh, stop.
Now might not be able to get through all this. Oh, I only got to go to there. Next page is the ice pack.
Yeah, half of the page is a suggestion of books and videos, so I don't think it's quite as bad as it
looks. Yeah.
First looks.
Okay, but there is a few sections to it, not just this one.
Oh yes.
So
Yes.
I think it starts there, doesn't it? So was born.
That's it.
Is that where it starts? Yeah.
Yeah.
So was born what became the Imperial Trans-Antarctica Expedition of 1914 to 1917. The goal was ambitious, audacious even, considering that only 10 men had ever stood at the South Pole, and 5 of those had died on the way back. The story that would unfold was to be beyond any expectations and completely different to that planned. It is quite simply one of the most incredible adventure stories of all time, remarkable even for an era and region that already has far more than its fair share of incredible tales of heroism and fortitude in the face of appalling hardships. The intention was to cross the Antarctic continent from one coast to the other via the South Pole. In the event, the main expedition never set foot on continental Antarctica. The expedition managed to survive the loss of their ship in the middle of the Antarctic pack ice, at a time when there was no chance of contacting the outside world, let alone of being rescued. Isn't that something that's sort of like today's crossing of the Antarctic? If you're going to get stuck out there, there's going to have trouble rescuing you.
It's still an issue. It's not as bad as it was then because they really were pretty much on their own. And if they ran into trouble, tough. I mean, at least these days you have got forms of communication, and this is why one of the main things when you go to Antarctica is if I was going to Antarctica, I have to get assurances and insurances here in the UK to cover my trip in case something goes wrong, to cover the cost of you being rescued. That's one of the main hoops you have to jump through before you go to Antarctica, is to make sure that somewhere someone is saying, yes, we will pay for your rescue if you get into trouble.
But that's not the Flurfers' argument for why we can't go there, isn't it? That's
they
reason.
come up with all manner of bullshit as to why it's illegal for us to cross. Was it the 60th parallel or something? We're not allowed to go anywhere near Antarctica. The fact that there are scientists there, some poor buggers are there all year round. You know, there are research bases all over Antarctica. You can get a bloody cruise there. You can pay and go on a cruise ship to Antarctica. But no, we're not allowed to go because you've got to lie to Flurf. And that's basically what they're doing. And nowhere in the dozen pages of the Antarctica Treaty does it forbid you from going. It just says, if you're going to go, you need to do this. For entirely logical and sensible reasons.
I seem to remember that we...
It doesn't even say you need to do this. It basically says you need to do what your country says you have to do.
Exactly.
I mean, we actually read the entire Antarctic Treaty on a stream on one occasion, didn't we?
Yeah, because it is pretty much, it's only a dozen pages long, something like that. It's about 12 pages, and it's really not that onerous, you know. when you actually look at it. I mean, they're basically saying, yes, this is the last, unspoiled area on the planet. Let's try and keep it that way. Hey, and all the countries went, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. We'll go and do research, but we won't mine the shit out of it. We won't turn it into an open strip mine. We won't go and test nuclear weapons down there or anything like that. We'll just try and leave it as it is. I mean, apart from the fact it's probably the biggest reserve of fresh water on the planet.
Did they ever test anything down there to say that there was minerals or oil or whatever? Or they didn't even get that far?
Well, there's certainly been oil fields found nearby, because not too far away you've got this certain little places nobody's heard of called the Falkland Islands, and there are huge oil reserves there. You can bet your boots that there's a lot of resources were you of a mind that you could go and dig up and use and what have you. And I'm sure they've drilled test holes and things just to see what's there. That I'm sure that's been done. But what they're saying is no, nobody's allowed to actually use those resources because you'll just ruin the place.
Yeah. And I believe it was also at the time it was done at the end of the 50s. It was convenient for both the US and the Soviet Union to not attempt to militarize it.
Yes.
Because they realized if they did that, it would quite possibly actually start a war.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do all the saber rattling you want, but they didn't want to do that because that would only have ended one way.
Yeah.
Right then, Terry, do you want me to read on?
Up to preparation. I'll just read another couple of paragraphs because I wanted to explain that there's a bit in here about his previous mention of his Nimrod expedition, but I didn't get one that combined this with that, so we'll probably figure it out or do something. I apologise for that part. Shackleton began planning his next journey to Antarctica almost as soon as he returned from the Nimrod expedition of 1907 and 1909. He felt certain that others would soon succeed in reaching the South Pole, where he had failed, having come so close, and so looked to the next goal. This he took as being the crossing of the Antarctic continent from coast to coast via the South Pole, a distance of about 1,800 miles. Can somebody convert that to real measurements? A long way, certainly, but not so much further than a there and back journey to the pole. 180.
That's 2,896.8 kilometres.
I was guessing 3,000 kilometres.
Wasn't far out. Yes, about
2,900 k ish.
Yeah, I was guessing. Close enough. He planned to set out from the Weddell Sea region to the south of South America, across a completely unexplored region of Antarctica, to the pole, and then to the Ross Sea, McMurdo South area to the south of New Zealand. Typically for such trips, the attention-grabbing exploratory part of the expedition was but a small part of a whole. Other scientific and exploratory sledging trips were planned for parties setting out from the main base, as well as another party, who were to remain at the base and carry out a variety of scientific work. Another group of men would be required to set out from the Ross Sea region and lay depots for the Transantarctic party to use on their journey to the coast from the pole. They would be on a second ship. Okay. Oh, you want to go now, Farmer?
Yeah. Right. The ship used for the journey to the Weddell Sea was newly constructed in the Norwegian shipyard and had been intended for tourist cruises in the Arctic. She was the Endurance. The ship to take the Ross Sea party was the Aurora, purchased from Douglas Mawson and used by his 1911 to 1914 Antarctic expedition. The expedition was inundated with applications from volunteers to join, despite, or maybe because of, the tragic end of Robert Scott and his team after reaching the South Pole only 2 years beforehand. There is a much publicised but almost certainly apocryphal newspaper advertisement supposedly placed by Shackleton, but no trace of a copy has ever been found in any archive. Men wanted for hazardous journey, small wages, bitter cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return doubtful, honour and recognition in case of success. Sir Ernest Shackleton. Yeah, I'd see that and go, yep, sign me up.
Okay, sign me up.
Yeah. Hazardous, chances of death, certain. Yeah, fine, go for that.
But you'll get honour and recognition in case of success.
Oh, yeah, great. Yeah. No, thank you. Too cold. Oh, dear. Funding became a problem, and so Shackleton found himself recruiting and preparing for the departure of the Endurance, whilst also desperately struggling for funds that, if not forthcoming, might result in the expedition not taking place at all. Eventually, however, funding was obtained, and towards the end of July 1914, preparations were almost complete. Yeah, just think about what was going to happen a few months after that. There we go. The dark clouds of World War I were beginning to gather, however. The Endurance was anchored off Southend on August the 4th, 1914, when Shackleton read in the daily newspaper the order for general mobilisation of troops and supplies, along with calls for volunteer soldiers. He immediately returned to the ship, gathered all hands, and told them that he would send a telegram to the Admiralty offering the ships, stores, and services to the country in the event of war breaking out. Within an hour after sending the telegram, Shackleton received a reply from the Admiralty with a single word, proceed. Within 2 hours, another arrived from Winston Churchill, for which he thanked them for their offer, but desired that the expedition go on. That night, at midnight, war broke out.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they took to his they took his offer of helping them out, but they said no, just go, off you go.
Yeah, well, when if you think at the start of the First World War, nobody had any idea of what lay ahead of them, you know, and at the time, well, this is high adventure, you know, Admonson and Scott and everything. Now Shackleton's off to do pretty much the same thing. Yeah, off you go, you'll be fine. We don't need your help, you know.
That little pesky war thing, that'll be over by Christmas.
Yeah. They had no concept of what lay ahead of them. I mean, how could they? You know, war on that scale had never been fought before. They had no idea. Oh, it'll all, yeah, like you said, it'll all be over by Christmas. It won't take long. We'll soon sort them out. You'll be fine. Off you go. Go and enjoy the South Pole.
The stupid thing is, that's what everybody on every side was saying, wasn't it?
Yes. Yep. All of them.
Yeah, the Allies and the Axis.
Yep. Anyway, on August the 8th, the Endurance sailed for the Antarctic via Buenos Aires, and the sub-Antarctic island of South Georgia. Oh, I've heard of that place. I wonder why. Yeah. Where there was a Norwegian whaling station.
Oh, look, a whaling station too.
It was thought that the war would be over within 6 months. So when it came time to leave for the south, they left with no regrets. Yeah, it's fuss over nothing. On November the 5th, 1914, they arrived at South Georgia. Shackleton learnt much from the whaling captains about the conditions between there and the Weddell Sea, which indicated that this was a particularly heavy ice year. The plan had been to spend only a few days collecting stores, but instead the Endurance remained at South Georgia for a month to allow the ice further south to disperse. This month was one where bonds of friendship and mutual respect were formed between the Endurance crew and the Norwegian whalers. Bonds that would prove unexpectedly useful sometime later to Shackleton and his men. The Weddell Sea was known to be particularly icebound at the best of times, and the Endurance left with a deckload of coal, in addition to normal stores, to help with the extra load on the engines when it came to pushing through pack ice in the Weddell Sea to the Antarctic continent beyond. Extra clothing and stores were taken from South Georgia in the event that the Endurance may have to winter in the ice if caught in the Weddell Sea as it froze, unable to reach the continent first. They left South Georgia on the 5th of December, 1914.
Hmm. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're doing all this just as World War One is really getting going, just getting into its stride.
And with the forms of communication they had back then, they wouldn't have really got any information back.
Not really. No.
I wouldn't. I'm surprised they didn't take a Marconi man with them.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I mean, ship to shore and ship to ship radio communication was very much a thing by that point, wasn't it? And I know
Yes.
it becomes more difficult in the high latitudes, but you'd still think they'd take something, wouldn't you?
You'd have thought.
Besetting pack ice, disaster, an adventure to try to reach land, and eventually a temporary reprieve. We reached the head of the Weddell Sea, but impenetrable barriers of old ice frustrated further progress. These are actual photographs, I'd say.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we can make that one bigger.
Yeah, that bad. Actually trying to cut the ice ahead of the ship so it can move.
Yeah, no icebreakers back in those days. For 2 days and nights, every endeavour was made to cut the ship free, but the temperature continued to fall, and the ice which was broken froze again, and matters in the end were worse than before 14th of February 1915. As time wore on, it became more and more evident that the ship was doomed.
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 Oh, we're doomed.
Yeah. Yeah, straight away when I heard that, I was thinking of Dad's Army. Endurance among ice pinnacles, that was February 1915. Returning to the ship after a winter skiing excursion. Oh, that looks a bit trapped.
Yeah, doesn't it?
The long night, the Endurance in the Antarctic winter darkness, trapped in the Weddell Sea, 27th August 1915. Terrible time of the year to go there.
So middle of the winter then.
The winter
Yeah,
darkness.
but look, those first photos you're looking at are all taken in February, and that last one's taken in August.
Hmm. During the night, take flashlight of ship beset by pressure. This necessitated some 20 flashes, one behind each salient pressure hummock. No less than 10 flashes being required to satisfactorily eliminate the ship herself. Half blinded after the successful flashes, I lost my bearings amidst hummocks, bumping shins against projecting ice points and stumbling into deep snowdrifts. Frank Hurley's diary. Wow.
So he was obviously taking a long exposure photograph
Mm.
and setting off
Flares or something?
the one use flashlights that they had at the time. So that is, I suppose, yeah. I mean, it's one photograph, but it's a long exposure, multiple flash photograph. But that's the only way he could get it sort of lit up like that at night. One flash wasn't enough.
But farmers, that's exactly how we still do that type of photograph today.
Yeah, but that's basically what he's describing. So it worked out where all these flashes had to go off, and then he starts the exposure, and then he's running around setting the flashes off one after the other, getting blinded by the flashes, working in the dark. I mean, blimey.
The beginning of the end for the Endurance, now completely in the power of the ice. the ship begins to keel over. It's just popping it out to the top like a cork out of a bottle, so to speak. Endurance crushed to death by the ice packs of the Weddell Sea, the sinking ship watched by dogs, 1st of November 1915. Let's get on to summer, our summer. So.
Getting on to summer, I would think might be a bit of a problem, given that that's not permanent ice, is it?
No. Frank Wild, probably, by the wreckage of the Endurance before the ship slipped beneath the ice. Hauling up the boats for the night, 1916. Point Wild, Elephant Island, the site where camp was made after the initial landing place was identified as unsuitable. On arrival of Elephant Island, the 3 lifeboats, Dudley, Docker, James Caird, and Stancombe Wills with Shackleton and his crew deciding on the next step.
Strange name for lifeboats.
Yeah. The Endurance battled her way through 1,000 miles of pack ice over a 6-week period and was 100 miles, 1 day sail from her destination. When on the 18th of January 1915 at those degrees, the ice closed in around her. The temperature dropped dramatically, cementing together the loose ice that surrounded the ship, as the ship's storekeeper wrote like she was like an almond in a piece of toffee. On the one hand, this was not totally unexpected. It had happened to the ships in the Arctic and get my tongue around this. The ships in the Arctic and Antarctic many times, but it was a significant setback, and for Shackleton, the disappointment must have been bitter. He was 40 years old, his country was at war, the expedition had taken huge amounts of effort and energy to prepare, and he was unlikely to have this opportunity again.
Yeah.
Do you want to finish this one off, Farmer?
Yeah. Nevertheless, his men looked towards the boss, as they called him. This collection of Royal Navy sailors, rough and ready trawler hands, and recent Cambridge University graduates, oh God, they'd be bloody useless, amongst others, were now dependent on the man who had led them to this place, and this very unfortunate predicament. The ship was drifting to the southwest with the ice. Attempts were made to free the ship, when sometimes cracks appeared in the ice nearby, but to no avail. The ice around the ship itself was thick and solid. Men with heavy improvised ice chisels and iron bars breaking the ice up near the ship, and the ship at full speed ahead had no effect at all. They continued to drift. By the end of February, temperatures had fallen and were regularly minus 20 degrees Celsius. The ship was now clearly frozen in for the winter. The worry was where the drifting ice would take them, and would it be possible to break out in the spring? The sides of the ship were cleared so that if the ice began to press together, then hopefully the Endurance would be able to rise above the ice and ride on it rather than being crushed. This eventuality had not really been planned for, and the men became frustrated and restless. Football and hockey games were regular features on the sea ice until the darkness of the Antarctic winter began. Sunrise glows came in early July, heralding the return of the sun and daylight, but the weather was not kind, with regular blizzards and low temperatures. Most worrying of all was the pressure from the ice. The floes began to raft over each other. Everyone knew that one of two things would happen. Either the pack ice would thaw, break up and disperse in the spring, so freeing the ship, or it would consolidate and, driven by the effects of wind and tide over hundreds of miles of sea, would take hold of and crush the ship like a toy in of ice. Shackleton wrote, "The ice is rafting up to a height of 10 or 15 foot in places. The opposing floes are moving against one another at the rate of about 200 yards per hour. The noise resembles the roar of heavy distant surf. Standing on the stirring ice, one can imagine it is disturbed by the breathing and tossing of a mighty giant below." The The men went out to look for fresh meat for the dogs and themselves in the form of seals and penguins. They were still in low supply, having disappeared at the start of winter. A few were taken on at the end of September. On Sunday, October the 23rd, 1915, their position was 19 degrees 11 minutes south, longitude 51 degrees 5 minutes west. The Endurance was under heavy pressure from the ice, and not held in a good position. Instead of being able to slip upwards with the increasing pressure, the ice had hold of her. The first real damage was to the stern post, which twisted with the planking, buckling in the same area. She sprang a leak. The bilge pumps were started, and the leak was initially kept in check. On October the 27th, Shackleton wrote, the position was latitude 29 degrees 5 minutes south, longitude 51 degrees 30 minutes west. The temperature was minus 8.5 degrees Fahrenheit. A gentle southerly breeze was blowing, and the sun shone in the clear sky. After long months of ceaseless anxiety and strain, after times when hope beat high and times when the outlook was black indeed, we have been compelled to abandon the ship, which is crushed beyond all hope of ever being righted. We are alive and well, and we have stores and equipment for the task that lies before us. The task is to reach land with all the members of the expedition. It is hard to write what I feel. Yeah, I bet, because he's basically said, yeah, that's it, it's over. The ship's dead. The Endurance, excuse me, the Endurance had drifted at least 1,186 miles since first becoming fast in the ice 281 days previously. She was 346 miles from Paulet Island, the nearest point where there was any possibility of finding food and shelter. Shackleton ordered the boats, gear, provisions and sledges lowered onto the ice. The men pitched 5 tents 100 yards from the ship, but were forced to move when a pressure ridge started to split the ice between them. Ocean Camp was established on a thick, heavy floe about 1.5 miles from what was fast becoming the wreck of the Endurance. Dear, oh dear. So they've been stuck there for, 2/3 of a year, and now they're watching their ship getting crushed before them, and it's like, what do you do?
If only they had some camels and rum, John said.
The answer to all your prayers, we've got the camels, but have you got the rum? Fear not. We have the rum. Oh dear. Right. The Endurance finally broke up and sank below the ice and waters of the Weddell Sea on November the 21st, 1915. The men had saved as many supplies as they could, including Frank Hurley's precious photo archive, before she disappeared. The 28 men of the expedition are now isolated on the drifting pack ice, hundreds of miles from land, with no ship, no means of communication with the outside world, and with limited supplies. Still, could be worse.
Could be worse.
What was worse was that the ice itself was now starting to break up as the Antarctic Spring got underway. So it could be worse. On December the 20th, so this is pretty much a year after they first got there. On December the 20th, Shackleton decided that the time had come to abandon their camp and march westward to where they thought the nearest land was, at Paulet Island. They had 3 name boats named after patrons of the expedition who had donated funds. 2 of these were now manhandled in relays, the James Caird and Dudley Docker. The 3rd boat, the Stancombe Wills, was left behind. If the ice began to disappear under them, the men would take to their 20-foot boats. Shackleton wrote on New Year's Eve 1915, "Thus, after a year's incessant battle with the ice, we have returned to almost the same latitude we had left with such high hopes and aspirations 12 months previously. But under what different conditions now? Our ship crushed and lost, and we ourselves drifting on a piece of ice at the mercy of the winds." Oh,
Wow.
But that length of time with the amount of supplies, that's amazing how they could have that amount of supplies to last that long.
Yeah, well, you think that they'd got supplies. They knew they might have trouble with the ice, so I guess they'd allowed for that. But then they'd got to land, and then they'd got to traverse all the way to the South Pole. And then once they start going to the other side of the continent, hopefully they get to the relay stations. The other ship would have been setting up. So the other ship had got an expedition coming towards them from the other way towards the South Pole. So they'd got all those supplies as well. So they probably had got, supplies were obviously getting low because they were trying to hunt seals and penguins, although it was the wrong time of year for the penguins. But yeah, the chances were that they had sufficient supplies to last that amount of time.
Well, the penguins were hiding because they didn't have any ammunition or not ammunition.
They hadn't got lasers.
They weren't armed or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, the penguins hadn't got the lasers then, so they're easier targets. Right. Some of the crew, led by Frank Wild, returned to the area where the Endurance had been to retrieve the stank and wheels to give them more space. It would prove to be a wise decision in the months to come. They were all forced into the boats by the thinning and increasingly fragile ice on April 9th, 1916, made their way across a stretch of open water. By the evening, they were able once again to haul the boats onto a large ice floe and pitch their tents. That the crew kept going during this time was a tribute to Shackleton's leadership skills and his abilities and understanding of the importance of keeping up morale. The whole group were kept together in the monotonous and strenuous task of pulling laden lifeboats across broken up and ridged ice floes. It was now 14 months since the Endurance had become frozen into the ice, and nearly 5 months since she had sunk, marooning them in a featureless icy wilderness. On April 12th, Shackleton found that instead of making good progress westwards, they had actually travelled 30 miles to the east as a result of the drifting ice. They did, however, spot Elephant Island, part of the South Shetland group, and headed that way in seas that were by now largely open for navigation. They made landfall on Elephant Island, being ecstatic to do so. I bet. It had been 497 days since they had last set foot on land. Wow. Elephant Island. Their first landing place wasn't ideal by any means, but they soon found a more appropriate place to make camp at a place they called Point Wild, after Frank Wild, who had gone down the coast to scout. Shackleton wrote, "As we clustered round the blubber stove, with the acrid smoke blowing in our faces, we were quite a cheerful company. Life was not so bad. We ate our evening meal whilst the snow drifted down from the surface of the glacier, and our chilled bodies grew warm." Blubber stove. Ew. For the time being, they were more safe and secure than they had been for a long time. They were still stranded far from civilization, with no one knowing where they were or what their condition was. There was no chance of rescue. No ships passed that way. No radio at that time was capable of summoning help.
Yeah,
the outside world was not going to come to Elephant Island. So there you are. They're really on their own. Shackleton realized that in order to effect a rescue, he was going to have to travel to the nearest inhabited place, which was the whaling station back on South Georgia, some 800 miles distant and across the most stormy stretch of ocean in the world. They expected to encounter waves that were 50 foot from tip to trough, Cape Horn rollers, in a 22-foot long boat. There we go. The navigation was by a sextant.
What?
But
a sextant?
They just measure angles. What do you do with a sextant? A
I'll get
sextant
lost.
and a chronometer of unknown accuracy. Well, good bloody luck then. I will. They were dependent on sightings of the sun that could sometimes not be seen for weeks in the overcast weather. So characteristic of these latitudes.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've got to watch that. You don't know how accurate it is, and a sextant for sighting things like the sun that you can't see.
Can't see because the cloud.
Yeah, best
Wow.
of luck. Shackleton chose Frank Wild to stay behind with the men on Elephant Island, as he felt he could hold them together well. If there was no rescue by the spring, they were to try and reach Deception Island, which was regularly used by whalers and sealers. The lifeboat chosen for the journey was the James Caird. It was made seaworthy by whatever limited means were available and equipped with a part cover against the weather and the sea. Launching her was eventful, with many of the men being soaked to the skin. A serious matter in the cold climate, with very limited facilities for drying their clothes out and getting warm again. Yeah, when they say you'll catch your death of cold. Yeah. The party left behind on Elephant Island used the 2 remaining lifeboats to make a hut. They were turned upside down and placed on top of 2 low stone walls. Tents and sail fabric were used as lining to keep the wind and weather out. Clever. The men were even able to make small celluloid windows from an old photograph case. A blubber stove provided heat and was used as a cooker. Conditions were cramped and food was in short supply. One of the party, Blackborough, little more than a boy who joined the ship as a stowaway in Buenos Aires when his companion had been hired, though he had not, I bet he regretted that, suffered from frostbitten toes. These were amputated by the surgeons by the meagre light given out by the blubber stove.
Oh, that sounds painful.
Yeah, no, I think the only anaesthetic they had was a bottle of whiskey or something like that.
Well, yeah, because they didn't. Well, they didn't have rum.
Or rum.
They didn't have camels.
Yeah, they didn't have camels either.
I think I read somewhere it was something like whiskey or something like that. So they just let them down a bottle of whiskey, and then they cut off the toes. Pretty popular during that time.
Yeah, drink this until you pass out, and you'll probably wake up halfway through screaming.
I can't imagine how awful that must have been, having your toes cut off and only having whiskey as anesthetic.
Well, just look at what bloody Ranulph Fiennes did.
Oh yes, he had to do it to himself, didn't he?
Yeah, he got pissed off waiting for them to do it, so he chopped his own bloody fingers off.
Yeah.
Who was this?
Ranulph Fiennes, the modern day adventurer and explorer.
Really?
Yeah.
The guy who got thrown out of the Special Air Service because he was too Special Air Service.
He was too special for them.
he got caught. Because he was trained with demolitions, he would blow stuff up with the minimum amount of plastic. So what he didn't use, he kept hold of.
Yeah.
And then one day somebody was building a dam somewhere that the locals didn't like, so he blew it up in England somewhere and got caught.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I heard that as well.
They chucked him out there. They chucked him out the SAS for that, and he's done. I think he's done a solo polar circumnavigation.
Awesome.
I think you're right. I think he is.
Good to hear from you, Alan. How are you?
I'm not bad, Matt. I'm glad to hear you're obviously not too bad now.
Yeah, I'm considerably better. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good.
No, I'll let you carry on. Sorry. Carry on, Sergeant.
I believe the term is as you were.
As you were, yeah. Or carry on. Is it one or the other?
As you were.
We'll leave the. What are we up to now? Then we'll leave the voyage of their little boat journey for the next stream.
No worries.
Then the adventure is going to begin with the little boat in the 50-foot swells.
Oh yeah. From peak to trough, you'll get 50-foot waves down there. Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. Just the same as you do in the North Atlantic. When the storms get up there, you easily get 50-foot waves. Which is it's 50-foot wave. Yeah, you picture you standing on the ground. You picture something 50-foot tall, and that's a wave coming at you. On you in a 20-foot boat that's got a bit of a cover on
it. You just hope that the wavelength is fairly long and that they're not cresting too badly.
Yeah. That's when you wish you was in a submarine. You just dive under it all. I know a former submariner. He likes to tell the story of when they went out on a big deployment to the Caribbean and the east coast of America. And it was when they had one of them big storms. I think the one that might have buggered up the Fastnet race. Oh, yeah.
And of course they all get the other side, and all the tin cans are battered and half destroyed, and them in their nuclear submarine didn't really notice anything because they were deep. They were deep enough that they only had a very slight roll.
Yeah, of course they could. I mean, obviously, I've got a lot of books back here all about sort of the U-boat service, and something that was mentioned there as well. They had to navigate by dead reckoning because when you're out in the middle of the Atlantic, you've got a sextant, a nautical almanac, and a timepiece. But when you can't see the sun, when you can't see the sky at all, because it's a raging storm, and these storms could last for weeks, all your navigation is by dead reckoning until you finally get a fix again and think, oh shit, we're miles out of where we're supposed to be. And those things, because they weren't strictly submarines, they were torpedo boats that could dive for a day. In waves of that size, they had to carry on the surface because it was quicker. And that's why the watch crew were all clipped with safety lines to the conning tower. And they could quite regularly be underwater for seconds at a time because the wave would just swamp the submarine. I think even in extreme conditions, they would go down. They'd go underwater for a few hours just to ride it out. But if the storm carried on, they had to go back up and just plow through it.
Yeah, so they're while they're underwater, it's like you said, they reckon it's like, well, we've been traveling at this direction, this speed for this long, therefore we must be here.
Correct.
So we'll take this turn now, therefore we must be going that way, so therefore we're here, or we're going to be here at this time. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And when they're using the old Wolfpack tactic of here's a convoy bringing all the submarines to this location, fine. You've had a signal to say go to, and it was all done in grid squares. Go to grid square BE42.
Yeah.
Fine. Where actually are we at the moment? It's no good being told go over there. Well, fine, but where is there in relation to me? And all they had was what all other old-time mariners had. They had a sextant, an almanac, and the timepiece.
Yeah.
And when they could get a bearing on something, it worked. Take note, Gary, in the side chat.
Of course, keep in mind these are war stories, and they tend to grow with time.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, a lot of their navigators are really good, but at the end of the day, when you're using dead reckoning for days, if not weeks on end, it's very, very easy when you actually get a fix on something and go, oh shit, is that where we are? How far out are we? Don't worry about that. Go that way.
Yeah.
Left hand down.
Got a few of those of my own. There I was out of ammo, surrounded by Charlie everywhere. All I had left was grenade pins.
Oh dear.
Because that's when you start throwing cans of spam.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you throwing your helmet at him? That's all I've got left.
Yeah.
I was being Saviour Private Ryan when they're going to shoot each other, both out of ammo. Hell's his pistol.
Yeah. Throw the helmet at each other, pistol at each other.
Right.
Yeah. Bastard.
Oh dear.
I've been finding some derp on Facebook this morning. Can I read one to you?
Well,
hang on.
Considering that we
Can't
haven't
reach the
got,
screens. Go on.
considering we
go
haven't
ahead,
got
Sue.
Lindsay, because he hasn't brought anything out since we played him last, we're going to have to.
Oh, Lindsay, how selfish.
Yeah, I've just went.
It's no point now. No point in the Ozzie perspective anymore. What the hell?
Roughly translated. God, thank Christ for that.
Yeah. So because we haven't got Lindsay, yeah, go on then.
We'll just have to ad lib then for a bit of dirt then. So what you're thinking is what you're saying might just have to do.
Well, I mean this is this is very simple actually, but but the person writing it is obviously very simple too. It says I think, and this is a comment in the Flat Earth Society Facebook group where you probably find most of the derp on there as well.
Stand by the facepalm.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite simple. Anyway, I think the main reason everyone disagrees on here is because not all humans on Earth are affected by or feel gravity at all. That is why many of us do not believe in it.
What?
What?
Yeah, yes.
That's insane.
Oh my god.
Actually, I'm not being affected by gravity at the moment, but I'm hanging onto my chair desperately because otherwise I'll just float off. I mean, what's what the WTF?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, I just got my morning tea and I just kind of looked at it and I just took a sip of it and I spat it out. So what? Couldn't help
I've got a
it,
good
but
one.
You've
I've
done
got
that a
good
few
one
times,
too.
haven't you, Alan?
I've got a good one too. They were talking on Gem
Back to
Server
you.
today about the Salton Sea and about the horizon. You know, Witsit Gets It was talking about how could the ship be hidden by the horizon when you could see the horizon behind the boat? And of course, the comments were that it was land that he was seeing and blah, 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 blah. And then Mel came out with a comment. He said, I was there. And we all said, what? Mel was there? He goes, yeah, I was there watching it on the internet.
I was in Ukraine yesterday watching tanks getting shot up.
Oh yeah,
I've been all over the world lately.
On the internet. Yeah.
You had to duck, wouldn't you? You would have got hit.
And also got another one, but it is sadly it's by a Glober, clearly kind of a bit confused about how the moon phases works or what the moon phases are. And he says, it's a kind of a good point in itself, I suppose, but he says, watching the moon last night shining in the sky, I pondered, if, as flat earthers state, the moon is its own light source, how come the earth casts shadows upon it? Would it not be fully illuminated all the time? I mean, please correct me if I'm saying, the only time that the earth creates a shadow on the moon is during a lunar eclipse, right? I mean, yeah. I think he's probably a bit confused, I think, isn't he, by the sounds of things?
He does sound like he's making the usual Flurf mistake of thinking that the phases of the moon are the shadows of the earth on it.
Yeah, exactly. That's a classic example of Glober, kind of getting confused and really not doing the cause any good whatsoever.
Yes, there are times.
Yeah, we do get them.
Oh, excuse me.
I mean, if I'm not sure about something, I just don't comment on it at all because if you do that in public, you're going to make yourself look stupid in public.
What's the saying about sort of removing all doubt by actually saying it instead of thinking it, or something along those lines?
Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let there be an element of doubt. Keep your mouth shut.
But on the Shields, we're doing a section that every couple of weeks or so. We're doing Facebook Derp, so we started doing that. So I've been collecting quite a few, and believe you can find a lot on Facebook. If you think you can find some stupid on YouTube, go Facebook for a while.
I just tend to see the stupid on Twitter. I don't generally follow that stuff on Facebook. I don't do much on Facebook, but on Twitter, well, you know as well as I do, on Twitter, my God, nobody's got any shame whatsoever. They will quite happily say to the world, look how bloody stupid I am. That's what gets me. That Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, they're quite happy for the entire world to see that they're complete and utter morons.
I think it's a certain amount of anonymity. I can't even get that word out. Anonymity. Yeah, that word.
They're anonymous.
Yeah, anonymous people. That word. I can't say that word. I don't
Anonymity.
know. But yeah, that word.
What's that? Anemones?
Anemones, then, yeah.
I can't say Admonson, but I can say anonymity.
Anonymity, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't even say it either. There is a certain amount of it on Twitter, because I think, haven't you on Facebook, when you get a Facebook profile, you've got to get it authorized or something. I mean, isn't there a certain process you've got to go through to state who you are for real or something?
I think so.
Remember.
I set up my Facebook account back in the dark ages, or rather my sister set it up when I was much younger.
Yeah.
So, like a minor.
But I think Twitter, you could just put any name you like into it. And I think that's probably why, because of that anonymity, that you can sort of be wherever you want to be, and you're hidden behind a keyboard, that we're never really going to find out who you really are, so you can.
I think the reason Twitter arguments are so stupid has less to do with anonymity and more to do with the fact that Twitter has a character limit, so it's harder to actually give a smarter argument because that often requires more characters than Twitter will allow.
Yeah, I would say that's partly true. Yeah. Well, I'd say it's true, but it was part of the reason. Yeah.
I'd say it's. I mean, anonymity on the internet has its ups and downs, but people on Facebook are equally dumb, and they're pretty verified.
Yeah. I mean, you get celebrities saying stupid stuff, don't you? I mean, it's
Yep.
Yeah.
Being
But
famous doesn't stop you being stupid.
No, it doesn't. I mean, that's the problem with famous people. You say something on social media and you put it out and you click on that post button, it's too late already.
Yeah.
Because thousands of people have probably already screen clicked it and all the rest of it is going to come out. Yeah, I know. You've seen that time and time again, haven't we?
Yeah, I'm trying to find out how long I've been on Facebook. I can't find anywhere that tells me.
Excuse my sniffing if I keep sniffing, by the way. I've got a bit of a cold. I shouldn't sniff, I know, but yeah.
Wait. I only have a Facebook account because my son set one up for me. Oh.
I did when I could destroy my Facebook account a few years ago, although you can't really ever get off of it.
Oh, I don't use it very often now, really. I just frequent the Flat Earth channels just for more than anything else, a good laugh. Try and educate one or two people, but it doesn't work.
Yeah. Oh God, I actually had to physically scroll back through all my posts.
No, I don't post pictures of my my food or my dinner and fluffy bunny rabbits or cats. No.
No.
I don't do that.
Good.
That's what Twitter's for.
Yeah.
Yeah, people do that on Twitter as well, don't they? Here's my dinner. So, and
I only do that on Christmas Day because one of the comedians, and I can't remember her name, she has this thing running on Christmas Day, and it's a Twitter feed for everybody who are living on their own, and you can all sort of join in and post things and all the rest of it. And I think that's the only time when look, I can cook a roast dinner. I'm not a completely useless bloke, you know. She did teach me something.
Come round to my house for Christmas dinner, farmers. I'll cook you a nice roast dinner. I cook a pretty mean one, actually. Very good.
My Yorkshire puds are just
a mean fucking roast dinner.
That's one thing I'd say. I mean, it's the only time I'd actually do a proper roast dinner because most of the time you're living on your own. You just can't be asked. Just don't bother. But Christmas Day, yeah, why not? You know.
But I'll tell you what, you can do the Yorkshire puddings and you can experience my gravy. I do make a really good gravy.
Oh God, you don't put wine in it or anything, do you?
Well, I sometimes do, but I don't have to. No.
I remember going round an ex's once for Christmas dinner. And that wasn't gravy; that was red wine with some extra colouring in it.
Oh no, I don't know. I don't do that. I only put
disgusting. This is wine, not gravy.
I only put about meat. If I do, I put half a glass in it, and the rest is just all kind of the meat juices and stock and all kind of vegetable water and all kinds of stuff. So no, it's only like a drop, half a glass maybe at the most, just to flavour it. And it's cooked through properly as well. It sounds of things like that gravy that you were talking about was never cooked through. Just bung some wine in it and then serve it. No.
I was trying to be polite, but it was just like, oh, what the hell is that? You know.
Oh, that sounds polite, right enough. Yeah. What the hell is that?
My body just took over. I mean, I didn't spit it out, but I was damn close. What the hell is that? You know? Yeah, never mind. Yeah, no, I don't really do any of that. I say I don't post that much on Facebook. I ain't got anything to put on there, you know. But yeah, Twitter streams. Oh God. Yeah, the number that I follow and they post, you know, these stupid statements and claims and beliefs from flat earthers and the like. There was one yesterday. Oh, all NASA CGI there. There's no real photos. And I went, Blue Marble. Show me CGI in that because it was taken in 1972 on film.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So I've been dealing with has anyone been watching PJCnet and MC Tune?
They're having a bit of a back and forth, aren't they? Bless them.
Understatement that he's a complete asshat. Pardon my French.
Yes.
Oh, you're being polite about him then.
I think that's a good way to put it. I'm being overly polite about him.
Well, thing about PGCnet, right? He's an idiot, and he's deep in the rabbit hole. There's no doubt about that. But in the most part, he's respectful. At least there's that. Unlike unlike a certain other person that's in the chat right now, who doesn't know how to behave, is rude, arrogant, and a colossal prick, quite frankly. But I'm not going to name his name, but he knows what we've been talking about.
Yep.
Good morning, Gary.
That's my opinion of him. But there we go. So the difference between the two of them are pretty vast, because they kind of appeared on the scene well, at least to me anyway. They might not have done more or less at the same time, at least on the shills. So Gary's no longer welcome there because he can't behave. So yeah.
The real question with PJ Cena is, have you actually been reading the stuff he's been writing in MCTs?
Yeah.
It's not pleasant.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
I'm only going by my experiences from him and what I've seen.
No,
but,
that's fine. Just, I've actually been reading this stuff, and it's it's not pleasant.
Without giving away too much, without actually reading it, in what context?
In the context of a situation in Eastern Europe.
Oh, that can't right now. Touchy subject.
Yeah. PJC's been taking really incorrect takes on the whole matter. Like, really incorrect.
You have to remember his Papa, well, it's not really Papa Flirt, but his Papa, whatever, his Papa conspiracyist is David Icke.
Oh, yeah. He's a big fan of David Icke, isn't he? Yeah. But I mean, you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist for people to get a complete misunderstanding of what's going on over there. In the world of politics, unfortunately, they're kind of the people on the left and the liberals and things like that are really kind of getting a complete twisted view of it, and somehow seem to be supporting what Putin's actually doing in Ukraine, which is a bit irritating, to justify other things that United States or NATO might have done in the past and things like that. And it's just freaking annoying. It's just like they're getting all twisted view of it, and it's ridiculous.
Yep.
Creaky Blinder made a faux pas on one of his on his latest stream. He was talking about Nathan Thompson talking to a NASA guy. Nathan Thompson mentions the 10 to the negative 17 tour of space. And Creaky Blinder says, I don't know what he's talking about. Pressure is always positive. You sound like a dick when you say 10 to the negative 17 tour, because pressure is always positive. So I get the impression that Creaky Blinder thought that 10 to the negative 17 was a negative number. Oops.
Oh, no.
Whoops. Well, I mean, Creaky will always tell you himself he's not a scientific person. I mean, neither am I, quite honestly. So he does get things wrong, and he will admit when he's wrong, and I'm sure
he did sort of preface that little bit with, I'm not really an expert at this, so you can kind of forgive him, but really he should know that 10 to the negative 17 is not a negative number.
Yeah.
Unless you're a flurf.
Yeah, unless you're JM Truth, who absolutely insisted that it was a negative number, and he being a scientist and everything.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you have a triangle with sides 1, 1, and 1. What angle are the corners?
Well, when you quantum erase and you subtract things, you get a bigger quantity, right?
Inside or outside?
Ah, damn! You asked the right question.
How about
it's
900?
300 and 300, of course.
Oh, you didn't. You said. Oh, you did say the corners. You didn't say which side of the corners. Right enough. That's true. Yeah.
I'm walking around the outside of my triangular field, not around the inside of it.
Yeah, you didn't tell me which side of the triangle I was on.
Oh, trick question. Very good.
Yeah, you want to mess with a flurf too? Give them that one.
Or do we want to forego any derp, or we've done enough? Because all I
may need to leave.
Okay.
Hope you don't mind.
Well, you'll miss out on the easy quiz.
Oh damn! I thought I came too late and missed that. Oh, I mean, great. I'm glad I'm here for the quiz.
Anyway, I have to leave. I'll be back. I'll be on Discord still. Talk to you guys later.
Okay.
Okay.
Then, well.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Take care. Bye. Bye.
Oh, I've managed after 10 minutes of looking, found out when my Facebook account was created. It's not easy. October 2008.
Oh,
Wow.
that was a while ago.
Yeah.
I think mine's around about 2010. I think maybe before. I'm not sure. Or the latest one, anyway.
It usually comes up on the first page when you join, doesn't it?
I actually ended up with 2 accounts actually, so I don't know when my first account was created. It might have been before that.
Because what was the forerunner? Was it MySpace?
Yeah,
I think I don't
right.
know whether it still exists. I had a MySpace account, but
I believe MySpace still does exist, but I don't think anything happens there.
not surprised.
No. Yeah, I think that was the first real social media site, wasn't it? MySpace, I think.
Yeah.
At least the one that was the most popular, anyway.
I think Facebook had just really sort of started getting going over here, and we thought, yeah, we'll give that a go. I mean, what was that? 14 years ago.
So, you ready for a quiz? Or you still
Yeah, I
doing
think we'll
drinks?
just jump straight to it.
Let's go for it.
Righto.
I think I might have difficulty with this because I think the only way I'm going to be able to type the answers is if I can't see the screen.
Is your internet not fully back up and working yet?
He's got, he hasn't. No.
Oh, that's a shame.
It's not down. It's not. Hello. It's not down.
Hello.
Non-existent. Oh.
Are you capable of doing the quiz yet?
That's just
quiz. What quiz?
Yeah, let's do that. No, that's no.
I'm just imagining feeling
Have I
gravity.
Disabled your brains enough yet? All right, here we go. All right, question 1. This person is the subject of Durs Grinbane's epic poem on snow. Who is this person?
No epic.
Have
I've
you
never
heard of the epic
him, and I've never
poem
heard of
on
that.
snow?
No.
Okay.
No.
There's Grimbanes. Grunbanes.
Grunbane.
Grunbane.
Look,
Schmirgedy.
Icelandic or Greenlander.
Started sounding like the Swedish chef then for a minute, Paul.
Yeah, I know. Mock, mock, mock.
No
he always
idea
used to
from
throw
that.
his pots behind him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. A character whose name is a reference to this person is told to be faithful, go, at the end of an envoy published in 1973, and also appears in many poems in the collection Report from a Besieged City. Who is this person?
Get the feeling this is a bit too highbrow for me.
Yeah, same. None the wiser.
No idea yet. Okay. This person calls Galileo a vile old Copernican lead-swinging son of a sutler.
Oh.
In a monologue in which he complains, by the brother's boot it stinks fresh. Who is it? Who said that?
Now, insults in those days are brilliant, I think.
Yeah. They were, though. I'm much better
son of a sutler.
Yeah. No, not just you son of a sutler, it's you vile old Copernican lead-swinging
son of a sutler. Yeah.
Right. All right, another clue. This person is referred to by his title, Seigneur de Perron, in a poem in which he demands to be served eggs that are between 8 and 10 days old. Samuel Beckett's Horoscope.
Horoscope.
Who is this person? Who demanded to be served eggs between 8 and 10 days old? Not Gary Wybenga.
The obvious answer, Gary.
I thought the
Might be
obvious
one of my
answer
hardest
was,
questions yet, hey?
I think so.
Anthony.
And an everyman character in the poetry of Zbigniew Herbert is named after a Latin quote by this writer. Probably doesn't help you much either.
When are we going to get some easier clues?
Okay. Now, what philosopher inspired the name Mr. Cogito?
Why have I
None
never
the wiser.
heard of these people?
No? Well, here's your visual clue then. Cogito ergo sum.
Oh.
Who said that?
Yeah.
No, I'm still that? None the wiser.
Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am.
No.
Who was it that said that?
Oh, yeah, I've heard of the quote.
Farmer's Boy, you have it right. So
only
Big
because
Blue.
I know that from the Monty Python song.
Yeah, and Big Blue got it before you, though. But yes, you are right. So you did get it before the answer. It's not the Pope, folks.
Well done, Blue.
Well, we'll give you the answer to that one, Peanuts. It was Rene Descartes.
And the song goes, Rene
therefore
Descartes is a drunken fart. I drink, therefore I am.
Ah,
from the Monty Python, the
yes,
Bruce's Philosopher's Song.
Yes. Yeah.
That's how I know
if it
names of
helped you,
philosophers,
if
because
it
they're all in
helped you.
this.
There you go. It helped you.
Yep.
Good old Monty
Right.
Python.
Question 2. This is a tricky one. These characters wear riot police gear in Josh Klein's installation Freedom.
Installation. This is overblown art piece, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Installation, my art.
Yeah, but it's the characters that I'm after. Which characters are these?
I'm not familiar with this piece of work.
Okay. Adam Roberts analysed these characters as cyborg versions of the Eloi from the Time Machine and noted that they live in a sexless utopian fantasy. Which characters are these?
Cyborg versions, I don't know. One of them.
No, it's not the Cybermen. No. Okay, an extremely creepy video by Martin Gula sets footage of these characters to Stravinsky's Rite of Spring. Which characters are these?
Not ringing any bells.
No? Okay. A scene in which these characters watch the bear with brown fuzzy hair and the scary lion with big scary teeth was so uncanny that it was banned in several countries. Who are these characters?
Oh, God, it's not something stupid like this, is it? Hang on.
You are correct.
You're joking.
I'm not joking.
Again.
You are correct.
It's right, police gear. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. It's not nuns.
Oh,
Irish stew. Farmers has got it.
Good grief.
Periscope-like characters called the voice trumpets interact with these characters who live in a superdome in a grassy landscape. Who are these characters?
There you go. What's hell's happened to my keyboard?
Alan's got it. Alan's got it too.
You've posted to everybody, but yeah.
I'm sorry.
Is it really?
It is.
I didn't realise that. Oh dear.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the Peanuts to get it now.
Yeah.
We're almost down to the last clue. A show about these characters is always bookended by the rising and setting of the sun with the face of a baby.
Oh, that should give it away.
Characters?
Fully
It
grown
should,
woman
shouldn't
now.
it?
Adult
Yeah.
woman. Because you don't realise how old this is.
Yeah.
I should have known this really because my kids used to watch it when they were little all the time. So yeah,
I never got the
the
point
characters
of it.
at least.
I think mine
Yeah.
too
Bit weird.
watched sort of bits of it early doors, but even then it was sort of old hat, I guess, or getting that way.
Not the super gnomes. Yeah, and finally John Rapp has got it out there. It is, what children's television characters are named Dipsy, Lala, Poe, and Tinky Winky?
Uh-oh.
It is, of course, the Teletubbies.
Actually, they're hobbits.
Yeah.
This is a poster. I think I saw it in a Twitter post today, and it's got the boroughs they live in, and it's comparison between left and right. And yes, the hobbits are the Teletubbies.
Yeah. So the answer was the Teletubbies. There you go.
Oh, dear. Teletubbies.
I don't know many. I don't know many hobbits who pop out and go "oh" at all.
Well, they've had many thousands of years to evolve, haven't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Okay, question 3. Zhang Huan released a white dove while wearing a Hulk-like suit of this material in his immigrant-themed piece, My New York. What was he wearing? What kind of material was his suit made from?
Oh, Zhang Huan, yeah. Oh, yeah. Me and Zhang, like that, best buddies.
Yeah.
Know him well.
Yeah. So did he tell you what suit he wore?
I've no clue. I know who he is at all.
No. Okay. Silicone and pigment are used to emulate this material in Anish Kapoor's work Internal Objects in 3 Parts.
I've heard of Anish Kapoor. I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
But
what material is this? A Mark Ryden painting of a large-eyed girl wearing this material and Jana Sturbach's vanities are possible inspirations for a 2010 work in this medium by the Argentine artist Frank Fernandez. What material? You're close, Alan. A more general term would be the right answer, though. In a Twister-like work of kinetic theatre, titled for this material, participants writhe round in painting supplies, and this material, that piece by Carolis Schiemann, is titled for this material's joy. The joy of what? That would be correct, Alan. Well done.
I even got the spelling right.
Yeah.
Writhe around in painting material sounds like a mud wrestling, but with paint.
Yeah. Paint and this material. Right.
Yeah.
An outfit made of this material was supposedly meant to protest Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and was treated with formaldehyde before being placed in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yes, someone wore a dress made of this material. Why would you have to treat it with formaldehyde? Name this material controversially worn to an MTV award show by Lady Gaga. Come on, what did she controversially wear to an MTV awards show? Anyone got any idea? Yeah, Farmer's Boy's got it now.
It's
Not fur. Not fur, MTV. No.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
You remember it now? Yeah. Zebulon 181 out in the Peanuts has got it. Yes. It was meat.
Meat. Yeah. I remember now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, But, I mean, come on. At least we all get to eat vegans.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, I can understand that it was treated with formaldehyde, but surely it would still stink a bit, wouldn't it? Or would it?
You wouldn't want to wear it again. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's a shame because you give a good material. She's actually quite a good singer. It's just unfortunately what she sings is usually shite.
Yeah.
But she did a piece with Metallica for some award ceremony, and a microphone failed on the night. But if you watch her rehearsals, she's actually quite good. But that's because she was singing Metallica.
Yeah.
So by her wearing that dress, it wasn't a mistake, was it?
A mistake. What? You
Okay.
accidentally put a dress on that's made of meat. How do you do that? How do you make that as a
Well,
mistake?
she had to throw something together, so she just went to the fridge.
Yeah, get a few steaks out and shred it up and stick it on you.
Careful where you place those sausages. Oh,
Oh.
Yeah. Oh dear. Not going there. Question 4. In one ballad, this man is the first to attack Gamble Gold after he refused to give up half of the contents of his pack. Who was it?
Who was Gamble Gold? What?
Hmm.
Who are these people?
Oh, I think you'll get this one before the end of the clues,
Okay.
Farmer's Boy.
Okay.
I think you'll know this one. According to legend, this man is buried in the graveyard at St. Michael's Church in Hathersage and on the Naylor family estate. Who is buried there? At St. Michael's in Hathersage.
Just ringing some bells, but I don't know the answer.
They're very distant bells, I have to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see what develops.
Okay.
I don't have a clue where Hathersage is.
After the Curtal Friar blew his whistle to summon a pack of dogs, this man shot 20 of them dead with his longbow. Who is it? No, John Rapp. It's not Robin Hood.
Well, I'll just delete that then. Won't bother hitting return on that bugger.
Yeah. Along with Much the Miller's son, this man killed a treacherous monk in order to break his master out of prison. Who is this man?
Still kind of sounds a bit like Robin, doesn't it? A little bit.
Well, you're
Robin
kind
Hood.
of on the right track, but
I think it's one of the merry men in tights.
I preferred his depiction in The Time Bandits.
Robin Hood, riding through the
Played
glen.
by John Cleese. He was much better.
William Stuteley served as this man's godfather after he defeated that master in a quarterstaff duel and threw him into the river.
As you do.
It's not Mel Gibson. Big Blue, no. That would be right. Alan? Except it's not usually pronounced that. This is the only member of the Merry Men to accompany their leader when he was fatally bled by the prioress. But we have a correct answer out in the peanuts as well.
Is it that one?
Name this humorously named giant man who is depicted as Robin Hood's closest friend. And that would be right. Yes.
Yeah.
Farmer's Boy.
Yeah.
It is. Well done, John Rapp out there. And I think Fred Bailey, I think he was also known as that as well. But yes, it was Little John.
Oh, I said Friar Tuck. I didn't get it right then. It's Little John. Okay.
So it was on the right.
Yeah.
With Robin Hood, but it wasn't actually Robin.
Yeah, it wasn't actually Robin. No.
No.
Yeah. All right, question 5. The question of what breaks during the origin of this condition is examined in a book that compares Zeus, Athena, and Apollo to REMFs.
Remps. I didn't think I'd see a mention of Remps in here.
Remps.
Yeah. So you know what a REMF is?
I know what a Remp is, but I'm trying to see the.
In those contexts, rear echelon, mother, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Yes, Remps.
Yeah, Remp.
Yeah. People like myself.
Oh yeah, you was
What do you-
you was a Remp.
Yeah, he was a Remp. Yeah, that's right.
I was definitely a rep.
Oh yeah. Stay
Well,
as
I
far
got-
away from the trouble as possible. Yeah.
Of course, in my renting days, I was sitting under. I was sitting in a building that basically had a bucket of instant sunshine aimed at it.
That's true. Yes.
Like in the Blackadder thing, he said, "Yes, during the attack, I'll be right behind you." Yeah, about 30 miles behind
you.
So, farmers, would you like to explain to the peanuts who might understand what a REMF is?
Right, a REMF is a derogatory term given by generally troops on the front line, directed against all those at the rear with the gear.
Yep.
You know, a rear echelon mother funster. So basically, you're out on the front line, risking life and them getting shot, and the rear echelon is the brass, the high command, the cooks, everybody who's supporting you whilst not actually being there with you getting shot.
Or radar technicians.
Radar technicians.
All those sorts.
Yeah, basically all the support that the frontline troops need without actually being on the front line, they are REMFs, and it is usually at least a slightly derogatory insult when they call you a REMF.
Yes. Okay, second clue. The case of a man who was buried in earth for 18 hours is discussed in the first medical paper on this condition, written by Charles Samuel Myers. What is this condition? I will accept the acronym rather than the full title if you want to type that.
Would it be that?
It would be, Farmer's Boy. Well done.
Because I can't be asked to type it all out.
Exactly. That's why I said
yes,
you're allowed to use the acronym. Methods of treating this disorder were outlined in the book Instinct and the Unconscious by the psychologist W.H.R. Rivers. What is this condition?
It's interesting with the understanding that we have of it now, and you look back at what it was and what it was called over, say, the last 100 or so years, particularly in the First and the Second World Wars. Yes, it's
it was known by another fairly common name.
Am I on the right track, Paul?
That is an earlier name for it. Yes, you're on the right track, but it's not called that now. Yeah. So what is it actually called now?
It had different names depending on what period of time you're talking.
Yes, yeah.
Is that better? The 4 letters.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Same thing, Alan. Same thing. You know.
I sent the 4 letters to start with anyway.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, you did.
People experience
flash there.
Yeah. People experience this disorder on account of being unable to prevent severe transgressions resulting in moral injury, according to Jonathan Shea, who analysed depictions of it in the Homeric epics. What is this condition?
Oh, you're close, Terry. You're a key out.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to get
Yeah, that's better, Terry. That's better. Yeah.
There you go.
What the acronym for the first one spells pissed.
That's true.
Treatments for this disorder include psychological debriefing, eye movement desensitization, and prolonged exposure therapy. What is this condition?
That still sounds like you're pissed,
John Rat.
Yeah, it does.
Pissed off.
What disorder, historically known as shell shock, is suffered by many soldiers? That's why I wouldn't really accept shell shock as the answer, because it's part of the clues. Is my chat just stopped, or are the peanuts got no idea what's going on here?
Yeah, what happened to the peanuts?
Anyone know?
I thought the peanuts would have got that one.
Yeah.
We're still out there, by the look of it.
Wake up, peanuts.
Yeah.
Anybody out there?
Well, for all those who don't know, it was PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder.
I actually find that the term, certainly that the British used in the Second World War, and especially in the RAF, was probably the worst. Lack of moral fibre.
Yeah.
When you had pilots, bomber crew who just couldn't take any more. and they were actually punished, demoted, put on KP duty, all sorts of things. And late was actually labelled as LMF, lack of moral fibre, and they, of course, suffering from PTSD.
And that was World War II, wasn't it? I mean,
that was World War II.
Yeah,
World War One
so
tended to be shell shock, obviously, because the huge artillery barrages would just send you around the bloody twist. But yeah, World War II, it was lack of moral fibre.
Which is worse, actually, far worse than shell shock. So, it sounds to me that in those sort of terms, in terms of the medical world, it was kind of going backwards rather than forwards to actually accept.
It was. I mean, they were punished for it. And of course, these poor guys were trying to hold themselves together because they didn't want to be labelled as LMF and get punished and demoted and all the rest of it, because it was treated with extreme shame.
Okay, question 6. This operation, here's one for your computer nerds. This operation is done directly on 2's complement inputs without complementation stages using Pizarus or Bow Woolley designs. What operation is this?
Yeah, whatever.
I had to look hard for clues for this one because I'm not a computer nerd.
No, same here. I ain't got words.
Okay, this is for advanced computer nerds then.
Oh yeah.
Apparently, Irish Stu out in the chat is listening to Kylie Minogue. Okay.
Oh, that's why he's got PTSD.
That's why he's got PTSD.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I should be so lucky. Yeah, I know. Hey, Carly, show us your map of Tassie. What?
An algorithm for this operation reduces the number of required computations by replacing strings of ones with a positive one and a negative one.
I'm never going to get this because it's not my thing.
Is that Al Gore dancing? Algorithm.
No.
Sorry, best I can manage, because these questions mean absolutely bugger all to me. If it's for computer nerds,
it's not concussive adjustment, John Rapp. Whatever the hell that is.
Hitting it with a hammer.
Well, they always complain that I don't put any computer ones in there, so here it is.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. That algorithm for this operation examines the last 2 bits of an accumulator to determine what action to take. For example, it does nothing if the bits are both 0 or both 1. What computer operation is this? No. Wallace trees are faster than naive hardware schemes for this operation. It's not potato painting. Some coding rubbish term.
Yep.
Come on, all you computer programmers out there. Booth's algorithm computes this operation. Have you heard of Booth's algorithm? What Booth's algorithm does?
Is it
They're all looking up Booth's algorithm now.
I've heard of it, but I've no clue what it does.
Sorry, I was on Twitter.
Any comment on my suggestion?
It's not a tree sort, Alan, no. In MIPS, the high register is used to store the potential overflow bits from this operation. What operation is it?
MIPS.
Not quite right, Blue.
There you go. Another guess.
Not division, Alan, no. This operation can be performed by wiring together many carry save blocks. Yeah, John Rapp, Dora, you're up. Dora will save us with the answer, right?
There's Dora here.
Yeah. In C++, pointer declaration and dereferencing is done with the same symbol as the symbol for this operation.
Bloody hell. I used to do.
That is.
I used to
Blue's
use
got
lots
it.
of pointers in C.
Yeah. Blue
25
has
years
got it.
ago.
Oh, well done, Blue.
Yeah, Blue's got the correct answer. It's not division, Clive Wells, no. Name this operation implemented with shift and add circuits. Here's your visual clue.
Oh, yeah, because that helps.
For a computer scientist, it might.
I'm sure it does, but yeah, whatever.
You could give me
We
the
will
answer.
have to award the points to Blue for this one. It is binary multiplication.
Oh, okay.
Of course.
Now you give me the answer. I'm still none the wiser.
Well, there was one for the computer nerds, a hard one for the computer nerds. All right. All right. Question 7. A method for carrying out this task based on the arithmetic geometric mean and legendas identity for elliptic curves was discovered independently by Brent and Salomon.
We've got another one of them.
Yeah. For carrying out this task, what task were they trying to do? I'll give you another quick clue. Hey, a sum over k of a complicated term whose denominator contains the expression 640,320 raised to the 3k plus the 1.5 power is evaluated in another method for this task based on the Heegner number 163. What might have they been trying to do?
Turn lead into gold.
An algorithm that uses little space to perform this task in hexadecimal was discovered by Bailey, Borwein, and Plouffe.
Plouffe. I love that name.
Plouffe. That's a great name.
Hi, I'm Plouffe. Peter Plouffe.
Yeah. Pleased to meet you, Plouffe.
Was his real name actually Puffet? And he thought, no, I'm not having that. Put the L in there.
Wrong number, Alan.
Oh, okay. So, of course, it's this week, isn't it?
Yeah. The Chudnovsky's brothers' algorithm for this task is used by Mathematica.
Oh, they're one of Metallica's tribute bands.
The Chudnovsky's brothers.
Hello, you're listening to Mathematica.
This task can be performed by truncating the Ramanujan-Sato formula and taking the reciprocal of the result. Cheese making, no. The Peter principle, no.
Cheese making.
You could say it's somebody's favourite.
Yeah.
Who we've actually whose videos we've looked at on the stream at one point.
Yeah. This task is accomplished by counting the number of randomly dropped needles which cross parallel stripes in Buffon's needle. What was he trying to calculate?
You could even do it using matchboxes, if I remember correctly.
You can, yeah. Not cubing, no. The perimeter of a regular polygon inscribed in a circle can be used to perform this task. And we have Clive Wells out there with the correct answer and Alan in the internal chat. Well done. Name this task, often done with expressions like 22/7 and 3.14. It is approximating pi or estimating pi or calculating pi. I would have taken any of those answers.
Mm.
Yeah. All right, question 8. All right. The Syriac monk Theodore of Antioch thrilled enthusiasts of this activity by translating a treatise on it by an Islamic author thought to be the physician Hunyan ibn Ishaq.
Is that not the holy hand grenade of Antioch? Is it not something to do with that? No, okay, right.
First shout, they'll take out the holy.
What activity was this?
Throwing hand grenades.
Blowing up rabbits.
Blowing up rabbits, yeah.
But remember, 5 right out.
Yeah. 3 is too soon, or something like that.
Oh, hello.
Quiz
What
has
refresh
disappeared. Quiz has disappeared.
We've lost the
Where's
quiz.
the quiz gone?
Oh, hang on. I must have accidentally clicked the exit button. I'll just put it up again. That's no drama. There you go. Is that back?
Hey, there we go. Yep.
Yeah, it's back.
Yeah, it's back again.
There you go. Okay, second clue. Some participants in this activity would be enseamed to reduce fat levels and increase their energy, and were equipped with a thin leather strap called a jess. What is this activity?
We have a naked peanut.
There we go.
We do.
I think that's it, Paul.
That is correct, Alan. Well done.
Well, we can't have very, very expert naked.
No.
Can't have done a naked expert, that's for sure.
No.
It's
Different companions for this activity are matched with 12 different social orders in a tomb often attributed to Dame Juliana Berners, the Book of St. Albans. What is this activity? It's not tightrope walking. It's not dressage. Emperor Charles V received an essential component of this activity in tribute each year from the Knights of St. John. What is this activity?
We are the Knights of St. John. We just go.
We are the knights who say "If it takes it points," was how.
We are no longer the knights that say "me."
Frederick II's treatise on this activity explains how to raise vases in the mews of a castle where they would undergo malting. What is this activity?
Bring us a shrubbery.
That is correct, Farmer's Boy.
It's taken me a while to remember what a jess is.
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew it was familiar, but it was well done.
Yep. The participants in this activity who actually did the work were covered by a small leather hood until they were released to go after targets such as mallards.
Ah, the mallard.
That should kind of give it away, right?
Yes. You'd think so, yeah.
Not flagellation. Not a golden cock.
Oh, this is when I wish I could see the side chat. The peanuts.
Yeah, they'd be quiet.
I like Blue's answer. Big ass bird stuff.
Some of them are. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've got it now, finally. Yes, it is. It's falconry or fowlery. Either of those. Yeah, or hawking. What ritzy medieval sport provides the nickname of Otto the Great's son Henry? Remember, he was Henry the Fowler, right?
Oh, yes, of course. What?
This is an unfortunate instant, this one, where they
released
a falcon.
I've seen that, yeah.
Live on TV, and
he gets smacked by a truck.
Yeah, that's right. It flies right into the path of an oncoming smack. Ooh, Boof.
Oh, oh dear.
It just
We'll go
seems a rather silly place to sort of release your birds. I mean,
Yeah, right next to a
the other
motorway.
side of the field, you know. Let's do it right next to a busy road. Splat.
Yeah. On live TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. Falconry, hawking, or fowling.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
I like the guy in the front there, like ducks down. And, oh no!
Yeah. How many years did it take to train that bird?
Yeah, raising and training it from a chick and wallop.
Yeah. Question 9. Below one of these objects lies the Roops unit and Cavey unit, whose morphology has been reconstructed from shallow radar images taken by the Charade instrument.
Ooh.
What are these objects?
So clever words today. I don't understand.
Gas jetting from below condensed slabs in one of these objects causes araniforms or spiders, which have been extensively imaged by HiRISE. What are these objects? They're not Brazilian haircuts. No. Pits on one of these objects are colloquially referred to as Swiss cheese terrain.
It is that type of object, isn't it? Oh,
No, it's not.
oh. Okay.
It's not a comet. No. Geomorphological evidence from the Dorsa Argentea formation suggests that one of these objects was much larger in the late Noachian and early Hesperian. Not pyramids, no. Alternation between dust-containing layers and clean layers in these objects indicate large variations in the axial tilt of the body they are on. You need to be a little more specific, Farmer's Boy. You're on the right track, but which ones? Where?
There.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is correct. Yes. Planum boreum and Planum austral are the names for these objects, whose sizes change seasonally as frozen carbon dioxide sublimates. Shepherd's pies. No.
Oh, it's a long time since I've made a shepherd's pie. Oh, dear.
Yeah, same here. I might do that tomorrow.
Do you know, I might have to pop out on the bike again tomorrow just as an excuse to go and buy some mints and some spuds.
Name these permanent polar masses on the red planet. What are they? Come on, peanuts. The answer was that they are the polar ice caps of Mars, or the Martian ice caps.
It's been a while since I've read the Mars trilogy, but the Dorsa Argentea. There's a whole bit in there about Dorsa Brevia, and it's all these weird bloody Latin names. They're all places on Mars, and I thought, yeah, right, I know what you're on about now.
Yeah. And your last question. The results of one form of this process are referred to as wet blue in industry jargon.
Ooh.
Wet blue.
Wet blue.
I don't know if
Yeah.
the chat are behind or what, because the answers were coming out long. I don't know, unless they're a bit slow tonight.
Yeah,
Could be.
maybe.
Wet blue.
So yes, the results of one form of this process are referred to as wet blue in industry jargon.
Problem is, which industry?
This was the primary process carried out by J.E. Rhodes and Sons, the longest continually operating company in the United States until its 2009 closure. What process is this?
No.
No. Amateurs carrying out this process at home generally use the salt and alum method, the alcohol and turpentine method, or the brain method. I've heard of the other two, but I've never heard of the brain method. I'd love to know what that is. That is correct, Blue. Well done. The bark mills produce a substance critical to this process, which follows soaking, baiting and pickling in beam house operations and precedes the currying of its end product.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the peanuts have got it now. Well done, peanuts. Yep.
Yeah, I was getting there.
Yeah, though this process is named for a class of astringent polyphenolic molecules, it is today most commonly performed using chromium sulfate. Traditionally, this process smelled absolutely awful because its practitioners would piss on its ingredients to help remove the hair of dead animals. Oh, yuck.
I read it as well there, didn't I?
Well, back in the old
Name
days, yeah, when you finish, Paul, I've got a story for that one.
Yeah, it says name this process of chemically treating hides to produce leather, and of course it is tanning. Yes, Terry?
So back in the old days when they used to do tanning, people used to go around with a bucket and say, could I have your recently deposit, and they'd put it in the bucket and off they'd take it to the tannery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the uric acid was very beneficial in tanning.
Wow.
Yeah, one of the more minor characters in the Discworld novels, is it Harry King? He basically collects all the stuff like that. Makes an absolute fortune out of collecting, everybody's waste products, because he then sells it on to people like the tanneries.
Supposedly, every animal contains the appropriate amount of brain matter to tan its own hide.
Oh, okay. So what do? Do you smear the brain over the hide or something? And
I have no idea how they do that. But
I don't know either. I'll have to investigate that one because, wow. Yeah. Gee. So the flat earthers, their skin must be pretty much tanned already because they don't have very much brain matter.
Yeah.
A quick Google search. The brain contains oil called lecithin, which serves as a natural tanning agent to lubricate the skin.
Okay.
For tanning one deer hide, mix one deer brain into a gallon of hot water and mash the brain until it looks like a soup. Soak the hide in the brain soup for 2 to 8 hours. The longer you soak it, the better. There you go. So you got to mash it up. Mash the brain up.
Wow. Never heard of that before.
No, I must admit I wasn't aware of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't have want to walk around with a bucket in the old days to the people. You go, where's your brains? Bring out your brain.
Any flat earthers here? Come on, you're not using yours.
How's that going to work with an emu? Because an emu hide is much, much bigger than its brain, I can tell you that. Yeah.
And that's the truth.
Must be a really, really weak mixture.
Either that or it's a very, very concentrated brain. Yeah. Well, there you go. There was your quiz for the day.
Well, thank you very much.
I got
Good
close.
quiz.
I got one, sort of.
Well, I got 7. I would have gone 8, but I weren't typing quick enough.
Yeah, I misspelt the acronym. And I was pissed.
I look, the T and the Y next to each other, so that's perfectly understandable. You know. I've got to look up. Hang on, let me just Google search Teletubbies and police riot gear.
Oh, okay. While you're doing that, I'm gonna bring this over somehow.
Ooh, that's a bit disconcerting.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure out how do I.
Because they're not actually Teletubbies; they're mannequins. They're full-size human mannequins in police riot gear, and then they've just got like a Teletubby head or a face. It's yeah, it's a bit odd.
Well, I mean, most of these artists are a bit odd, aren't they?
Yes. Well, when they say, "Oh, it's an installation," you think, "Here we go, overblown Ponzi pretending to be art shite," and it is. Exactly.
It's like that one. Who was that? A female artist. I can't remember her name. Tracy something or other.
Tracy
decided to.
Emin.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's the one. Decided to put a piece of her messy bedroom and her bed. I mean,
It was a bed. Yeah, completely
bed.
nasty, unmade, unwashed bed. Oh, this is art. No, it's your bed.
Yeah, you messy bitch. Clean up.
I mean, even Banksy does, you know, he paints things on walls outside, but at least it is actually a painting. It's a picture. It's something, you know, albeit he's done it on the side of somebody's house or something.
It is at least accessible to the average person, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. Mind you, there was a YouTube thing going a while ago. I saw it was they did this little test. They got these little baby elephants, and they gave them a paintbrush and some paint pots and a big canvas, and basically put a paintbrush in its trunk, and it just splashed a whole load of paint all over a canvas. So what they did, they took this big canvas and they put it into an art gallery, and they got all these art critiques to go and critique it, and they were coming out with all these different theories and all the rest of it, yada 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 yada, and it was just an elephant just splattered a whole lot of paint all over it.
Somebody did that in an art gallery. One of the big ones in London did that, and there was a little plinth with nothing on it, so he put a banana on it.
Yeah, this is art. There you go.
and people were walking around and what's he trying to say? And it's like, bloke just left a banana there. It's literally all he did. He just put a banana there and walked away.
Fucking banana.
Yeah,
on a plinth.
And they all start to treat it like it's a piece of artwork. No, it's a fucking banana. You know, you unzip it and eat the inside. I mean, it's.
Oh, but that would have been good. Like they're all looking at these art critics, looking at this banana. Somebody just walks up, takes hold of it, peels it, and eats it. It walks off.
Then left with a banana peel, and it's like, what's he trying to tell us now? He's trying to say that someone's just eaten the banana, and they're really messy because they've left the peel behind.
Did anyone read the?
Yeah.
Before that.
Yeah.
No. What?
They were sharing.
That one from Blue. That's quite something.
That's Blue's. That's Blue's comment.
Yeah, I'm proud of the guys down at the University of Tennessee. They've done an excellent job.
Excellent results. Sure, they were able to measure gene.
It's quite something for a parlor trick.
Oh,
Is that what Rachel called it? It's a parlor trick.
Yeah, she did it again last night too.
Yep.
Oh, nice one, Blue. Nice.
Yeah, no, that's impressive. That is
very nice.
Like I say, I mean, given the work Blue put into it, I mean, they'll be using that for years to come, won't they? That's
well, it's not going to wear out.
It's not being used.
There's nothing on it that's going to really wear out, is it?
No.
But it's just an impressive bit of kit to look at, let alone actually see it in operation. Just to look at it and go, bloody hell, yeah, that's.
So you found anybody to publish your results with it?
I haven't even tried. I really haven't tried. I may get around to that here in the next few months. Ship it out to a few places just to see. I really I've been sort of waiting to see what UT, what sort of results they could achieve. Just because I did it doesn't mean,
yeah.
You need somebody else to do it.
Because the thing is that I know when I was in the IEE, they like having some history of, they like having some historical type articles sometimes, don't they? Looking at redoing stuff as it was done several hundred years ago.
Yeah. John, I did 40. John in the chat asked a question. I did a total of 46 tests, and when I average all my stuff, I got to within about 0.63%. Now, UT right now has a very limited data set, so you never know. I mean, that can just be sort of luck, but I think not. And they managed to get similarly lucky to me for some reason or the other. So apparently the thing is behaving itself. I'm surprised that we, with only one, I was only down there long enough just to align the thing preliminarily, and then tell them what they ought to look at and tweak a little bit before they started actually trying to use it. Apparently they did an excellent job to get those sorts of results. I know how cantankerous that damn thing can be. And it can be. I mean, I'm just glad it hasn't done anything silly yet. Give it time, it will. It'll act up.
Well, since we haven't streamed for a few weeks, I thought we'd just finish off with one video because we've been going for a couple of hours already.
Oh, that's cool. When does the rugby start?
Did you all know that SLS for Artemis 1 has been rolled out to the launch pad? Did you know that?
Yes, it looked mighty impressive too.
Yeah, for a wet dress rehearsal.
No, that was isn't that a dry one?
No, it's wet dress rehearsal. Yeah, they're gonna load it up with all the propellants and everything else and see how it all works.
There was one recently in the last 48
That's what they're going to do
hours.
next. Yeah, this one was a I suppose if you're going to term it wet and dry, this was a dry, wasn't it?
Oh, the one previously to that, yeah, that was a dry rehearsal. Yeah, this is a wet dress. So what they're going to basically do is put it onto the launch pad. They load it up with all the propellants and stuff like that. They don't necessarily ignite the engines. I'm not 100% sure what they are, but usually they don't.
That's the next one. The one that's just happened yesterday or the day before. That was a dry one, wasn't it? Didn't actually have anything on board. Yeah. Then the next one. Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
But that's the first time it's actually sort of broke cover, as it were.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's broke cover. It's out in the open. Exactly. Yeah. So they load all the propellants up it, and they just basically run a simulation as if they're launching it, but they're not actually igniting the engines, or at least I don't think they would be. I mean, they don't usually, but
no, because the engines have already been tested separately, haven't they? But you don't load it up with fuel and then just leave it there because
not for too long. No, absolutely not. Yeah,
they don't even do that. They didn't even do that with the old missiles in the silos.
No,
anything that runs on liquid propellant is left dry until.
Yeah, so they go through the process as if they're doing a countdown and all that kind of stuff, and load it all up, go through the whole process, and then kind of do a quick few tests, and then they unload it, I suppose. Make it safe again.
Got to say, it did look very impressive. I mean, that's a rare size bit of kit, isn't it?
Yeah. So all being well, if it all goes well and there's no issues at all, we might see a launch in April. Might, but nothing's been confirmed yet, even still now.
And of course, this launch will be unmanned.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's going to go around the moon and come back again.
Well, it's going to be women.
What?
He said it's going to be unmanned.
Okay, uncrewed. The first crew to land on the moon, one of them will be a woman.
Yeah.
That's an absolute dead cert guarantee. I can't remember her name, but I think she has been chosen, hasn't she?
Isn't Artemis actually slightly bigger than a Saturn V?
It is slightly bigger, yes.
Yeah, I think it's taller, but I'm not so sure in terms of sheer weight.
I think Saturn V probably beats it in terms of sheer mass, I think, but it's slightly taller, but not by much. And then of course, the fully stacked Starship is even bigger still, or taller still. Yeah.
I hear they've aligned the James Webb Telescope now too.
Yeah. The first fully aligned image came out, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and it came out to be better than what they were
expected.
We're supposed to be following that, Farmer.
Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah,
me too. I mean, it hasn't really. I mean, it hasn't really been that much of an interesting process, to be honest with you, because it's just a whole load of images of kind of like all the different mirrors being aligned and different things like that. Which, it's not really that interesting, personally speaking. But I don't know. Some people might. But yeah, it should be soon. Hopefully, we'll start seeing some real science coming out of it. Hopefully soon.
Well, we're keeping an update now and again, but. We'll see if we can grab that for next time.
Yeah.
I know in the image that I saw, impressive diffraction spikes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And already you're seeing a lot of stuff in the background that ordinarily you wouldn't be able to see, and they're probably not even halfway there yet. There's still an awful lot of fine tuning to go on.
Oh yeah, still a lot to do. Yeah, and there's going to be several months yet.
Those diffraction spikes because of the hexagonal shape of the mirror segments.
Well, the one thing I've noticed is that with the good telescopes, you seem to get diffraction spikes if it's actually properly in focus for some of the bigger stars. I have no idea why. But I have noticed it because I'm not really an astronomer, nor am I either an expert on astrophotography. I've just dabbled just a tiny little bit.
You see them with reflecting telescopes where they've got that spidery thingy up there that holds up the secondary mirror.
Yeah.
And that's usually a cross, and it'll result in those 4 diffraction spikes. But you get 6 off James Webb for some reason.
Well, I would put that probably down to the fact that there's 6 corners in each of those reflecting devices.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
It tends to be that way. It's like it's like when you get pinpoint lights in a photograph, and you get the same number of spikes as you've got aperture blades.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It depends what they're using to control the exposure.
Well, watch this space. We'll try to keep you up to date with all that.
And sometimes you get twice as many spikes as well. So it's like really fun.
Saw people on Facebook complaining about how much gold is on the James Webb's mirror.
Really?
Look at all that gold. It's sort of like 45 grams or 50 grams or something, isn't it?
Oh, that's a lot of a lot of gold.
Really thin.
Yeah, I mean, like it's nanometers thin, isn't it? It's so thin, it's ridiculous. I remember somebody saying it was something, ironically, something about the weight of 5 gold rings. Apparently, excuse the. I can hear a song coming on, but there we go. That. Yeah, so considering how big that mirror is, how big's the total mirror? 5 meters across or something, isn't it? Is it 5 meters? I can't remember now. 6 meters?
Yeah,
can't remember. I have to look it up. I can't remember. 6 meters or something seems to ring a bell. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the technical word for it, Matt, is big.
Yeah, it's big. Yeah. It's a big fucking mirror. Made of lots of little ones.
What's that one? Well, Blue did an hour and 10-minute stream. How long ago was that one?
Yeah, you don't want to watch that one.
No, that was that one. I thought, no, I don't want to do that one. I've got a 14-minute one. QE and elevation angles. Thought you might get a
14 minutes of QE, an hour of Bev.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, put your vote out in the peanuts. Come on.
I know what gets my vote. And it's not level, it's horizontal.
Oh dear.
Sorry. I must have doing that.
Yeah, horizontal.
Horizontal.
You say it better
Can't
than he does.
with an angle.
Every time I drop into that server, that's all I hear is all those. I go, oh, geez, I have to put up with that again.
It's like a mantra now. It just has to be repeated over and over again. But everything has to be said with an extreme air of incredulity. That seems to be the only way he can talk. Oh, really? I know. Everything's incredulous. Like he doesn't, he obviously doesn't believe, doesn't understand, doesn't accept.
What always finds its level.
Yeah. But it's logic. You wouldn't know logic if it kicked you up the arse.
Twice.
Twice.
Oh, the ether. He's always banging on about the ether. The luminous ether must exist.
Prince ether. But they can't spell it. But they don't spell the word correctly either, do they?
No, they spell it as the chemical.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, actually, I make that mistake as well. To be fair,
I always miss out the A.
Yeah.
I like to be really fancy and throw an ash on the front.
Ooh, get you!
Hey, I can remember the old numpad code for that, so it's easy.
I've got a cheat sheet blue tacked to the wall, but it's quite difficult to read. He's
got it still there, still on the wall.
You want the degree symbol? It's Alt 248.
Oh, thanks.
I remember that one because that's quite handy.
Alt 215 is the time symbol. 169 is copyright.
Oh, blimey, he knows it off by heart. Jesus.
Hey, hang on a minute.
And that's without a cheat sheet.
Oh no, it's been up there too long. I'm leaving it on the wall. But trust me, there's an A4 sheet with all the alt codes on there.
Yeah, if you put it off now, you won't go back up again, probably.
No. 160 is useful. That's the no breaking space.
Somewhere on there. Yeah, whatever. Anyway.
Anyway.
Terry. Yeah.
Anyway.
Press play.
Oh, okay.
Please.
And get right into it,
the music.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Blue Marble Science. Now, apparently, airplanes are celestial objects, according to Quantum Eraser.
What?
Come again?
And it gets worse. I'm telling you, you can't make this stuff up. Warning, severe facial and monitor damage alert is in effect. Get out those oven mitts. Push the monitors back out of punching range. And let's light this dumpster fire and have some fun.
Where's your oven mitts, Farmer?
That's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about, the conversation's been, especially on my side, is elevation angles, right? It seems that people are having a difficult time with this subject. But I'm just going to give this to the flat earthers and third grade geometry graduates. This is for you. And then you can use this when you're in like a crowd of ballers or you got people listening. You can still use this. I'm not saying you can't. But this isn't for them because they don't know what triangles are.
Well, that was rude. We know quite a lot about triangles, Kiwi.
Or trigonometry. or circles or geometry. So this isn't for them. Let's check this out. So I was running. If you haven't heard the story by now, there are no triangles in celestial navigation.
Not these Euclidean right triangles you jackwagons keep drawing pictures of. No, there aren't any of them.
If I can say that as like the slogan for the Globetards at this current time, I mean, I must have heard this. I'm not making this up, people. So it must have been written to me in the past week over 100 times.
Well, hang on, Scooter. You're about to hear it again.
It's probably way over that. So I may be lowballing this. But yes, there are no triangles in celestial navigation.
We don't use Euclidean right triangles in celestial navigation, QE. We use spherical triangles. Triangles on the surface of a sphere. Don't try to understand it. Just call your therapist. They'll help you get through this.
Well, we all know, hopefully by now, that a sextant measures elevation angles.
And you know why we call them elevation angles? Because they're not triangles.
All right? So all you got to do is let your fingers do the walking, a quick Google search, and you're going to come up with repeated versions of what an elevation angle is. It's not a secret. You don't have to go to a mystery school to unveil this knowledge.
Unveil.
I did.
No,
Reveal.
we're going to go to radar
very special
tutorial. These guys are professionals. They know what they're doing.
Is that a new word, unveil?
Minute.
Yeah.
You're going to a radar site to try to find information on elevation angle for celestial objects? Huh?
So all I did was punch in elevation angle. So what does this say? So an elevation angle, I'm right over here in the left-hand corner, guys. In the Western world, we read left to right. Measurement of elevation angle. Elevation angle is the angle between the horizontal plane. See, it's over. I can stop right there. Prosecution rights. That's it.
He said horizontal plane,
I won't
not
stop,
flat
but
earth.
I could.
No, that's a great idea. Stop right there. You're about to embarrass yourself.
So the elevation angle is the angle between the horizontal plane and the line of sight. Duh. Measured in the vertical plane. Duh. The reference direction, i.e. an elevation angle of 0 degrees, is a horizontal line, again, ending. Anytime you see horizontal, it's over. In the direction to the horizon. Wow, it's getting a bit redundant. Starting from the antenna. And as an ancillary bonus prize.
Yeah.
Technically, it's not towards the horizon. Because the horizontal plane goes nowhere near the bloody horizon. Because most radars have at least a little elevation. Because, the aerial's quite big and you have to stick it up on something to make it go round.
Yeah.
And horizontal at the aerial never actually intersects the horizon. Because
Not unless you like looking at ground clutter.
well, Blue, we used to point the aerial the beam up a bit as well because we really didn't like looking at the ground clutter.
Oh yeah, typically they'll point them up half a degree or something.
Our bottom beam was 1 degree, but of course it's a 1 degree wide beam. So yeah, the bottom of the beam's about half a degree.
Okay.
Sorry, just needed to say that, Terry.
Yeah, or just say play when you're finished.
Play.
They give a figure so we can view it. So all we do is go over here to the right. What does this look to you? What does that look like?
This shape is important. This shape is... What is this shape again?
Triangle.
A triangle. Yes, this shape is a triangle. Bring on the visual aids.
Love it.
I don't know, but that looks like a right angle triangle to me. I'm just spitballing.
No, you're not. You saw that episode, didn't you? Tell the truth now.
right? You see epsilon here? You see this straight line? That's the horizontal plane and the plane.
Yeah.
This makes a right angle right there. See, this is a right angle.
Yes, Alan.
The elevation angle doesn't give you the altitude of the target, because, funny enough, if you plot the altitude against the sight line, it's not a straight line; it's a curve. Because surface is falling away from that bloody green flat bit that is showing there. Play.
Okay.
Triangle with an elevation angle.
Digital.
Just as simple as that.
Hey, Major Sergeant Captain. You're a military guy. Maybe you've just forgotten some of this stuff. You see that thing right there? That is a radar antenna. You see that thing up there? That's an airplane. But what if that's not just an airplane? What if that's a whole squadron of fighter bombers on their way to drop a whole load of whoop-ass on your head? You think maybe knowing the altitude of those things might be a handy little piece of information? I do. Now look, in celestial navigation, we don't go measuring the height of a celestial object. When is the last time you think they called up the navigator and said, "Oh, quick, go find the altitude to Polaris for us. Call us back when you get that information in 800 years or so." Holy cow, man. What is wrong with you?
Is that not enough for you? Probably not. All right. From Math Space, let's take a look at this. And this is from the IGCSE 2021 edition.
Wait a minute, QE. Is this going to have anything to do with celestial navigation? You know you can use elevation angles for other things. You could use that to figure out how tall your tree is before you saw it down and have it fall on the neighbor's Volvo.
16.02. Angles of elevation and depression. Let's see what they got here. Lesson. One aspect of applying mathematics to the real world is coming up with names for all the different measurements, so that we can keep track of what all our numbers mean. Now, that would be a good thing. Angles of elevation and depression are the angles between objects at different heights. Makes sense. So let's see what they got to say. Elevation and depression. Oh, this is bad news for you, Baltar. That's why I said don't look at this presentation. Just turn away, call your therapist.
Ooh, look out, QE. Whoop ass incoming.
This is for flat earthers and third grade geometry graduates. Elevation and depression. An angle of elevation is the angle from the lower object to the higher one, while an angle of depression is the angle from the higher object to the lower one. Both angles are measured with respect to what? Horizontal plane. Yeah, it's all over right there of the reference object. And there's a special bonus here. What's this look like to you?
A triangle! Yes, the shape is a triangle! Bring on visual.
Does it look like a right angle triangle? The funny thing about that, why are they doing this? I don't know. I mean, it's over. It's all over. You can't get an elevation angle with this line, the adjacent, in this particular case, curved. Now, if you remember back to the first question that I asked, how can you acquire an elevation angle whilst having a curved baseline, i.e. curved adjacent, on a sphere? That was the original question so many months ago.
Sorry. Yeah, you forgot something,
We've
Farmer.
been through this before, but let's go through it again. The observer has a zenith, which is perpendicular to the surface of the Earth. The GP of the celestial body we're looking at also has a zenith. It's also perpendicular to the surface of the Earth. We want to measure the altitude angle, and that is measured with respect to a line that is perpendicular to the observer's zenith. And you can get that in a number of ways. That could be through the use of a bubble sextant. It could be an artificial horizon on your sextant, or it could be the apparent horizon that you see, as long as you make the dip correction. And that is a correction that includes your height above the surface, the curvature of the Earth, and refraction. Now, 3 questions for you, Kiwi. Do you see any right triangles here? Do you see any angles that are measured to a curved line anywhere? And are you aware that altitude in celestial navigation is an angle, not a distance? Ultimately, we get the co-altitude. That's the angle we're really looking for. And this is why. There's our observer taking a shot at a celestial body. He's measuring angle alpha. That line is a tangent, or a perpendicular to his zenith. It does not extend to the GP of the celestial body. That is the line from the celestial body to the GP. When we have angle alpha, we then get angle theta simply by subtracting alpha from 90. But angle theta is the same as that angle. That is the angle that subtends the distance across the surface of the Earth, and that's what we're looking for. There is no line connecting the observer and the GP of the celestial body. That just doesn't exist. Now, if you guys know how to navigate with a bunch of triangles, you need to show us how to do it, because none of us know how to.
So I had it in that question. So what I'm going to do, because Baltards, you don't, I know you don't understand what triangles are. And even if they show it right here, you just, the base, I showed this, not this particular one, but other ones. And what I've gotten back is, nuh-uh. I'm serious. Nuh-uh. I'm just not making that up. It was nuh-uh. So I'm just going to go back, run back to Mama, and go with your block of instruction. And that is, for you Baltards out there, how do you get an elevation angle from a curved baseline? That's the question. We're not going into adjacents. That gets you confused. Right? We'll just stick with the curved baseline, and prosecution rests.
Can I just answer that
We
simply
don't
by
make
saying
any
you
measurements
can't?
to a curved baseline. That's just a straw man, and you know it, QE. We find the altitude angle by measuring the angle between the celestial body and a perpendicular to our zenith. That gives us the co-angle. When we have the co-angle, it's very simple. We multiply that times 60 nautical miles per degree. That gives us a distance to the GP. That distance allows us to construct a circle of position, and if we have 2 or more of those circles, we can find our location. Our fix is at the intersection of those circles. Now it's time for you guys to do something. Using your Euclidean right triangles, show us the procedure that you go through to perform celestial navigation. I don't think you can do it. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And QE, remember this. When I say how stupid can you be, that's not a challenge. That's a question.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Don't forget those little buttons down there. Thanks to everybody that supports the channel. And I'll see you guys on the next one.
Well, they keep taking it as a bloody challenge.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, no.
Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Screen oil. Okay, so if we need a flat and horizontal plane to use a sextant, how do they use them on aircraft that are flying? How do they use them on the Apollo missions?
And that's a fact.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's because they see a diagram like that and they don't understand what it's showing. It might have that might have a dotted horizontal line along there, but that doesn't mean to say that you need one. It's just representing the horizontal plane that you're using as a reference to make that to get that angle. His whole look, there's a horizontal line, therefore the Earth is flat. What?
Has anybody actually explained to them what a tangent is? Has anybody done that? I mean,
more times than repeatedly. Yeah.
They just won't. I mean, it's almost as if they won't even accept that a tangent even exists, let alone like what it is.
Bev the other day on one of his streams, and I caught the first 5 minutes of it, and that was as much as I could stand. He had his whiteboard out, he'd drawn a circle with a diameter across it, and then he drew two lines that were tangent to each end of where that diameter went from one side of the circle to the other. And he said, look, see, right angles. Well, yes, they would be, because they're tangent at those points.
Yeah.
but so what? So they do understand tangents in a very limited way, but as soon as you start using it in ways that we understand and that goes against their narrative, then all of a sudden they don't understand. And what do you mean tangent? Oh.
Well, his Dunning-Kruger became evident as soon as he started referring to the altitude as a distance.
Yes.
I mean, anyone who knows even a little bit about astronomy and celestial navigation knows that the altitude of a star, when we refer to it as the altitude, is an angle measurement, not a distance measurement.
Yeah. Because how far away it physically is from Earth doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. It matters not a jot.
Oh, we hope it's a really long way away from Earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
when
a
they
really
say,
good thing.
Yeah, otherwise we're in trouble.
Calculated Polaris, and it's only 3,500 miles up. Really? So it's closer than the moon. It's closer than our sun.
We'd be a bit dead, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
Probably.
But the sun is small and local, really. And we don't notice that. And it's still closer than the moon, that's also not physical, but emits its own light, but has shadows on it. Yeah, right. The whole thing's just garbage, utter garbage.
Is it me, or whenever I hear QE's voice, I have a sudden urge to go and drink vast quantities of alcohol and then go and destroy something? I mean,
you have no idea how difficult this whole arena is for me.
Sudden
Knowing that
urge.
my liver can't take the abuse, and I really want it to.
Yeah, same. But
so that I can then be this.
Well, you're going to have to get a new set of oven mitts, Farmer, because I think you wore those ones out.
They're getting a bit secondhand.
I mean, there's a
alcohol is actually optional.
I mean, there is a lot of annoying voices from the Flat Earth community, like Lemon Bird and a few others. But I don't know what it is about QE's voice. It's just every time I hear it.
Oh
well,
why?
Now that you but look, now that you've heard the direct comparison between QE's voice and Grover.
Oh yeah.
Every time you hear QE, think about Grover, and you'll be in great shape.
Yeah,
I'll try that. Yeah.
I don't even want to try to explain to Gary where he's wrong in his statement out there.
Yeah. Oh God. Geometry of perspective is
Gary. Why bother?
If you want to hear annoying voices, Matt, go and listen to Bev's stream from last night at about 2.5 hours in, because you've got both Bev and Chris Berry.
I've never heard the geometry of perspective put into a sentence like that.
Geometry of perspective doesn't involve curves, Gary.
But no, he says it's much more than lines and angles.
Oh, it's rubber bands too. We know that.
Yeah.
Oh yes, rubber bands.
The different coloured rubber bands too, weren't they?
Yeah. I mean, perspective is foremost an art term.
It is.
You can see that it's in a certain period of history, artists lost the ability to demonstrate perspective in their paintings, which is why a lot of medieval stuff looks so odd. Because there's no perspective in it. But if you go back earlier than that, artists did know how to use perspective, and it seemed to have got lost, and then they sussed it back out again, and then you start seeing perspective in paintings. But there was a large period of time, certainly in the medieval period, where people in the foreground, people in the distance, there was no perspective, and you just look at it and go, well, that don't look right. because there's no perspective in use. It is mainly an artistic.
Yeah, it's mainly that's where it come from, man. From artists.
Because obviously, the other way is the smaller it appears to be. That's it.
Well, by the way, Gary, I'm still waiting for that video of the plane disappearing from the bottom upwards that you claim to have seen. Still waiting, Gary. You haven't got it yet. Oh no, you haven't got it because it doesn't exist. Okay, thanks, Gary.
All those pictures of the aeroplanes that I posted recently in a couple of other places.
Yeah.
Going a very, very long way away and definitely not disappearing bottom up.
No, yeah. But apparently, in one of the one of the comments of one of his videos or somebody's video, he said that he saw one, and of course, he didn't have a camera with him at the time.
Oh dear.
Oh, didn't. Yeah, no, didn't have his mobile phone with him then. Okay.
Okay.
All right. The problem is that for the average airliner, when it actually does disappear over the horizon, it's further away than the ISS when the ISS is visible in the sky.
Right. Yeah.
So unless you've got something really good, you are not resolving it.
Yeah.
And of course, the aeroplane isn't. The aeroplane isn't in a position to be able to reflect a lot of light really well at you at that point.
The only time I've seen a plane disappear bottom up is when it's come in to land over the horizon on a runway at the distance.
I did once, strictly speaking, see a plane disappear top first, but it was an F-111 in the process of crashing upside down.
Well, Gary, as I've stated before, you can make as many videos showing how angles foreshorten and all this kind of nonsense, right? But until you can actually demonstrate what you prove that you've actually seen, it means absolutely nothing. It's the same with all the flat earthers claiming that the sextant is flat earth proof, but not one single one of them has been able to demonstrate using a sextant using flat earth geometry. Until they can do that, it's all the theories are absolutely meaningless. The same with the meaningless claims that you make. Until you can actually physically show us and demonstrate it happening, it's all crap, mate. And you know it. So go ahead and demonstrate it. Use a sextant. Show us a video of a plane disappearing from the bottom upwards. Go ahead. Until you do that, it's absolutely meaningless.
Well, I've seen planes land over the horizon, but he's saying you don't see a plane fly over the horizon.
The way it all started off was because there was one time when he was on I think it was Ranty's stream, and he was talking about perspective and things disappearing from the bottom upwards. And I suddenly remembered, I used to live near an airport it used to be called Eastleigh Airport, but it was changed to Southampton Airport, as they do. They always pick the nearest city. And my house is actually overlooks where they actually take off and they kind of turn off and they fly off in the distance. So from my bedroom window, I used to observe these. So for one of my birthdays, I was given a pair of binoculars and I used to watch these airplanes just disappearing off in the distance, taking off, going off into height, obviously. And I do not remember any of them disappearing from the bottom upwards, but apparently it's because I didn't know what I was looking for. But he's still, and I've been asking you this for probably a couple of months now to show a video of this actually happening, and he still hasn't. And I wonder why.
Yeah.
It should be. I mean, Gary, if you claim that it happens, it should be pretty easy to show it, but you can't. Must be somewhere. There must be something somewhere on the internet of this happening, Gary. Surely, or do it yourself. But you still haven't provided it. But apparently, I'm a moron when he came on to Luckyfish's video and called me a moron for asking for it again. But because he just wanted to go on about his theory again, apparently, and then proceeded to call Dick and everybody else perverts.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. You're filthy perverts.
Yeah, we're all perverts, apparently.
Yeah.
Because we challenge him.
Very strange. I used to watch planes flying over the horizon all the time.
Well, I saw an interesting observation out at the duck farm the other day. It was evening and I was closing up the sheds. and the sun was almost set, right? And there were clouds down fairly low, and they weren't being lit up by the sun, right? But there was a plane flying fairly high, and it was leaving a contrail, and it was interesting to see that the contrail was being engulfed in darkness from behind. The plane was flying towards the west, right? And the darkness, the contrail going into the shadow, was catching up with the plane. And and as the sun set, the contrail gradually, the darkness caught up with the contrail, and it was no longer being lit up. The contrail was no longer being lit up by the sun. You know, it was a nice bright white contrail before sunset, but then it gradually disappeared from behind, and the shadow caught up with the aeroplane, and you couldn't see it anymore.
Well, the first time I saw the ISS twice in one night, the first time it was incredibly bright and went over the house completely. The second time round, it was at a lower altitude, wasn't quite as bright. And when it got sort of roughly halfway across, not quite directly overhead, it disappeared because it had fallen inside a shadow. Then sunlight couldn't hit it anymore, and it did. You could track it across the sky, and that just went. That was it.
Yeah, you sure they just didn't turn the lights off on the ISS?
Oh, the lights on that specially modified U-2 spy plane bomber.
Yeah.
That can do 17,000 miles an hour, whatever. Yeah.
Oh, and I just double checked for an airliner at 10,000 meters, which is about average-ish. It disappears about 390 kilometers past your local horizon.
Yeah, well, my binoculars I had when I was like 13, 14 years of age, Alan, couldn't zoom into that sort of level. I couldn't see it. So. And bear in mind, it was taken off above the horizon, of course, you know, from my perspective. So.
Well, I'm just saying, you get an aircraft up at 30,000 feet, 10,000 meters, and it's going to be, nearly 400 kilometers away from you when if you could see it, when it actually disappeared over the horizon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But according to Gary, he's actually seen an airplane disappearing from the bottom upwards. So he claims.
And actually, when you see that happen, if you were to see that process happen, it would look as if the aircraft disappears nose first.
Right. That's what gets me. Why not from the top down? Why not from the sides down? You know what? Why? Because according to him, it's just only from the bottom upwards, according to his theories.
Well, because by the time it's that far away, all you can see is the bottom of it.
120, you fucking moron.
I mean, mostly all you can see is the bottom of it anyway. At that altitude.
I think this is.
I think we've lost.
Eh?
I think we lost Matt for a minute. I think we've lost Matt for a minute there, haven't we?
Oh, and he's got.
No,
he's
sorry,
got a, he's got a hot
muted.
mic. He's got a hot mic.
Yeah, I muted because there was. I muted because there was a bit of argument going on in the background.
I heard that. Yeah.
Well, they weren't arguing with you.
Somebody was
not with me.
Okay.
Yeah, it was my missus and my stepson. They were both having a little bit of
having a free and frank exchange of views.
Yeah, a friendly one though, nothing serious.
I did that once. Punched the fridge and broke my finger. Yeah.
Oh, silly sod for punching the fridge. The fridge is always going to win.
I was having a free and frank exchange of views with my eldest stepson, and I thought I need to walk out of the room now before I do something stupid. So I walked into the kitchen and did something stupid instead, because the fridge was actually so I basically punched a cupboard door as hard as I could and broke my little finger.
Silly sod.
I think when I got back from the hospital, he realised just how much he'd pissed me off. He said, "Thanks for not hitting me." I said, "Well, I didn't want to punch you, but you see how bloody close I was." I was like, punch the fridge, yeah. Never mind.
Gary's gone a bit quiet out the chat.
Well, it's hard to type the derp.
Well,
no, he's proficient at it. He's absolutely proficient at derp.
That's why
he's well practiced. Okay.
Mm.
But as I found out the other day when I was pretending, it's so much easier being a flirt. You make shit up and it doesn't matter.
Correct.
Well, either that or I'm sure that a lot of them have like a Word document with all the common phrases and phrases and stuff that they just kind of use. They just kind of like pick one out a lot. That'll do. It's kind of related to what we're talking about. Copy paste. Yeah, I'm sure they do that because it's the same stuff all the time.
There must be a word jumble generator somewhere out there that they use.
Yeah.
Yes, Farmer. Hold on a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that makes a good avatar. Yeah.
Oh, that's your lot.
Does actually, yeah.
Yeah.
What's Paul pouring cornflakes? Oh, I thought he's pouring. I was in a Tupperware container getting tipped up. I thought it was cornflakes.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Oh, that's your lot for tonight, anyway.
Shalot.
Yeah, I think we've been going pretty good, and my internet seems to be a lot more stable lately. So
yes, we haven't had 3 shows.
Well, it'll still take me at least the next couple of weeks to analyse it 100% to know that it's not going to do it again.
Oh yeah, you've got to give it time, haven't you?
Yeah, well, it's a trendy one. It's got a special little SIM card that goes in it. So if you drop any internet here, it'll actually pick up the signal from your tower, like your telephone uses.
Oh, right.
So there's bound to be no dropouts that way, I'm sure.
Ah, now you said it.
Now I've said it.
That's the kiss of death, yeah.
Well, then it should have a satellite dish as well, then reaching up as well. That should be a third option.
Yeah, and I was just reading an article over lots of parts of Eastern Europe. They reckon Russia interfering with the GPS signal. A lot of airliners are saying we're actually having trouble getting a signal. I think it's being jammed, so I wouldn't guarantee satellite service either.
Oh dear. Oh, that's it. You're welcome, Judy. Thanks, James Jewell.
Yep.
Thanks, Mr. Farmer's Boy. Thanks, Alan Evans. Thanks, Mr. Big Blue. Thanks, Matt. Space Matt B.
Space Matt B. Right, you're welcome.
I call you Space
Matt B.
He's called the Special Case Man.
Oh, Special Case, yeah.
Or the casual space bar or whatever. I'll answer to all of those. It doesn't matter.
You don't care, do you?
Nah, I don't care. I've been called worse.
Who'd we have out there tonight? There was Judy, Zebulon, Fred, and of course Gary, Clive, NA dropped in. I hadn't seen him for a while. Who else?
Elmix.
John Rab, Elmigs, Biggest Doggers. Judy was there. I saw Judy there earlier. And Dora too, I think. Demon Orb. Zebulon Spooky. Stewie. Gotta scroll up further.
Very, very expert.
Very, very expert, yeah.
Very, very expert.
No, yeah, very, very expert. Oh, No Name. Was No Name naked?
Was he? I didn't spot that.
Yeah. Hadn't been here for a while then to be... No, he's not naked anymore. Jezza. Dave. My Mum Bakes Cakes. Carl. Don't forget Carl.
Oh, don't forget Carl.
Did I say Dora? I'll say Dora twice, doesn't matter.
Worth saying twice, yeah.
Okay. Aim Ball, Tiny Captain. That's as far as I can squeeze out. Can't go any further. I'm bound to have missed somebody. It's always the way. Alright then. Well, thanks, panel. Thanks, Peanuts. We'll see you next time.
Night, Peanuts.
Night.
Peanuts.
See you, Peanut.